Hi everyone, so welcome to the Scapegoats podcast. This is our first time doing a live together. It's myself, Fishkeeping Matt, Aquatics, Hooked Aquatics and Somerset Shrimp Shack. I'm really excited to have this live and be able to present it to you guys on my channel. Of course, make sure to check out the other guys' platforms and social media accounts. So yeah, let's crack onto it and get into this chat. So I'm just going to now allow everyone to appear. Here we are. Say hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. I had to unmute.
Thank you.
Is everyone off mute now? Yeah.
I think so.
Right. Yeah. Here we are. So, yeah, this is amazing that we've managed to do a little live like this. This is something that I could only have dreamt of, and like, especially with the chemistry that we all had at Aqua, I think it was like a cool conversation. It was like, oh, we need to collab in some sort of way, but we all live up and down the country away from each other. So what would be the best, most fitting way to do something than, you know, do a bit of a live first as an introduction point, and people here like our faces together enough, then maybe more stuff will happen down the line. So yeah, anyways, I'm going to get up our overlays now and we'll start off with some different topics. But yeah, what we'll do beforehand, if people don't know, there's so many different audiences and stuff like that. Just got a donation as well from Mr. J, of course. Thank you so much, Martin, for the £2. Really appreciate that. So we'll start off with who you already know, but he's going to introduce himself, let you know who he is, what his channel's about, and what essentially he is. So here's Matt, everyone. So if you'd like to
why am I first?
Why not?
Excellent. So I'm first. Brilliant. So I am Fish Shop Matt. I make content. Everyone should, in theory, 25 people in it. Everyone should know roughly who I am, I'm hoping. So yeah, I make content for aquariums. These are my aquariums behind me. This one's been overrun with Colombian ramshorn snails recently, which have eaten all my plants. Yeah, and I've driven back from Birmingham this afternoon and feel very tired. So I've got Coke. I'm ready to go for the live.
Happy days. So next.
Oh, hang on. If there is, we can have rave button on mine as well if you want. We can do disco. We can have disco effect on Fish Shop Matt, and now I don't know how to turn it off.
He's disco shot Matt now.
I got it. I fixed it.
So next up is Jay, Hooked Aquatics.
Evening, everybody. Hope everybody's well. Again, it's just a sort of small scale content creator. TikTok, I know plenty of you in the chat already from the Discord, but yeah, TikTok and YouTube mainly. Yeah, really excited for this evening. Looking forward to it and having a chat with everybody.
Great stuff. And next up we have M.
Hello. Yeah, I'm Somerset Shrimp Shack. So mainly I do shrimp and stuff. I do a little bit of fish as well, but shrimp's my thing. Done content creation for a little while now, and also run a small aquatic business in my free time as well. But yeah, that's pretty much me.
Great stuff. And then last but not least, of course, is the man that I decided to stick 2 fingers above his head whilst he's trying to take a picture with someone at Aqua, is Aquatics, Adam.
Yeah. So I'm Adam. Obviously, Aquatics is my channel. So yeah, I got back into fish keeping 2 years ago and decided to start a YouTube channel just to, you know, show my journey, really getting back into the hobby. You can see a couple of the tanks behind me here, and just to give people, you know, something to sort of latch onto and sort of, you know, just showcase what I'm doing in the hobby and hopefully inspires other people. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Right, yo. So yeah, it's exciting, like I said to you all already, that we've got quite a large audience already. This is probably the most concurrent viewers I've had on the live before. Of course, this is like basically a mini Avengers film in terms of Fish World. At the minute, you've got 5 different channels and 1 live, which I don't think in the UK scene I've seen yet. So it's great to be able to do something as a first. But what we'll do now anyway is we'll start branching into topics, and of course, if you've seen, there's like a little live goal there too. If we reach 10 donations of £2, we'll start the Q&A early. But we're hoping to work through different questions and stuff like that throughout this live and end with a Q&A. But if we reach that goal early enough, then we may start it sooner than planned. So we'll start off with essentially, which is part of the name of the podcast, Scapegoat, is aquascaping basics. So everyone, what are your thoughts then? What do you think are the basics? What people should know, and how should people go about aquascaping? Whoever wants to go first, you can put your hand up, I guess.
It was at school.
I guess. Right, Matt, go on then.
I think aquascaping basics is a really like interesting question, or not even a question, is it? But I think people worry too much. I think there's a lot of people that start out in the hobby and want to be like perfection instantly. They want to think about how everything's going. And like, I remember tanks when I first started, it would just be like, throw it in, see what happens, see what builds, and have a fun time with it. I think too many people get so bogged down in worrying about their tank that they end up then not doing anything, or they end up sort of thinking their tank looks rubbish and they don't show it off. Whereas if you just get on and try it and throw it all in there, see how it looks, if not, take it back out and try again. Like, yeah, I think it's just less worry, more scaping.
Great stuff. I think that's like a nice way to go about it. Like you said, I think your opinion is a lot more relaxed. So like there's obviously aquascapers in the hobby that it's the job. It's essentially what they do as a living or an art form, and like there's a lot of rules of thirds. There's a lot of techniques, how many rocks you can use, how many pieces of wood, and like how it's all measured. You can't have wood touching the glass or rocks touching the glass, like certain things and stuff like that. I seen the Geordie Scaper workshop recently at Wirral, and that was quite a fun one to see, where he was talking about he didn't want certain things touching the sides. He was gluing a lot of things down, and people either glue things down or throw things in. Like what is someone else's opinion on this anyway?
I think a big thing with aquascaping, especially if you're trying to go for that natural look, is like you guys said, don't chase perfection, but odd numbers as well, and kind of don't overthink. Almost nature's quite random itself, so if you kind of just roughly throw things in and then maybe tweak them a little bit, but don't try and find that perfect position for them, because that ultimately can make your scape look less natural and more man-made.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think like when you're first setting up like your planted tank, obviously we all look at different pictures, different videos about different aquascapes, and of course everyone's like at different levels, aren't they? But what I found is that when you're definitely setting up like your first one, you go to the shop, you get some wood and rocks and stuff, and you just have a play around. And like you were saying, that you don't want to overthink it too much. You just want to sort of design it the way that looks good to you. And, I don't think when you're first starting, you're going to be entering any competitions. So yeah, you want to set it up the way that you like it, what looks good to your eye. And over time, what I found is that, when you break down a scape and you put all the wooden rocks to one side, the next one you do, you're going to get better and better, because you've now got more materials to work with. And I found that that's sort of like, my first one was an absolute mess. And I'm not great at doing it, in my opinion, but you sort of build that up as you go. And like others have said, don't take it too seriously to begin with. Just crack on and see what you like, really.
Yeah, I think that's like a really good point that you've made there. I think we've all kind of said a bit of a point there. I don't know what your thoughts are, Jay, on the situation. I know that you read a lot of aquascaping books and like are very interested and involved with like aquascaping. So like, what are your thoughts?
I think my personal opinion on it is you have to do something that you will enjoy, something that you'll enjoy making, and something that you'll enjoy looking at. Because at the end of the day, it's your tank. You're going to be the one that's looking at it. You're going to be the one that's maintaining it. And if it's not something that you're proud of, and not something that aesthetically pleases you, then it's it's one of them. It's a difficult one. I think for a beginner, when you first set up your first aquascape, it's never going to look great, and you're always, for every scape that you do after that, is always going to be an improvement. And I'm quite guilty of that sort of, just throw something together, it'll look good once it's all grown in, and I do that quite a lot. But I enjoy doing that, and I enjoy trying new things and trying new say woods, trying different types of rocks, various types of plants, see what I can grow, what I can't grow in my setup. And I think that's the main thing. You've just got to enjoy it. You're never going to achieve perfection no matter what you do. You're always going to want to improve on it and take it to the next level. And I think as long as you're happy with what you've done, that's the main thing, because you've got to look at it every day.
Yeah, like I completely agree with you there. Like, I think we've all kind of got the same thought process on it. Is that, you know, aquascaping, the word initially come from obviously popularized by like Takashi Amano, and like the rule of thirds and like all these different techniques. And I remember seeing George Farmer's video when he went to visit the gallery. And like I started the hobby only 6 years ago. I'm still very new to this, and seeing how intricate and the details and what goes into it, it's incredible. And I respect that art form in itself. But I think aquascaping, the word, is very much broad. Like I remember watching George's videos and I was like, this is incredible. And I tried to replicate it as being quite new to it. And I got quite a decent scape, to be fair. But I think what really sparked it for me was watching the likes of Matt's content and MD's content. Like I remember watching them, and it's like, it's called, the title would say aquascape, and I'd be like, oh, so you can set it up and it doesn't have to be over complex, it doesn't have to be over complicated, it doesn't have to be all these different things. You can set up a really intricate, nice looking tank and still not have to follow a certain guideline or method, I guess.
Yeah, I think, like you say, you do what you think is going to look good. If you watch somebody like Matt or somebody like MD, like you say, their content caters for every level of hobbyist. You've got setups for beginners, you've got more sort of experienced setups. And I think there's something that everybody can learn from every video in that. And the more you do it and the more you sort of, it sounds stupid, but the more you scape, the more you try different layouts, even if it's not in a tank and it's just in a dojo or something like that, the more you do it, the better you get at it, regardless. It's just a repeat process.
100%. Yeah, has anyone got any more to add to the topic?
I think actually someone who said, I think Climbing Acris just said it in the chat, which is I scape for breeding purposes, which is exactly right. Like, it is an aquascape if it isn't like an Iwagumi, or is everything an aquascape? In theory, if you are putting rocks and wood and stuff inside a tank, is it an aquascape in theory? Like, so yeah, I like the idea of like the breeding purposes one, because like, no, that way. That tank behind me is like all ocean rock. It's not natural in any way. It's got a few epiphyte plants chucked in it. It's got escargot shells in it. It's not a aquascape, as it were, but I have scaped it with the fish in mind, trying to block out eyeline and trying to stop them from fighting and giving them homes. So yeah, it's an interesting thought of like scaping how you want the fish to, no, scaping for the fish rather than scaping for your visual enjoyment.
I agree with you there, Matt. And I mean, like, going back to the aquascape basics thing, like going like back to the root question is, I think we've all had like a good opinion there and like letting people know that it doesn't have to be a certain way. But what would you say is like the thing that when you're setting up a aquascape or it's just a tank in general, what do you go for? Because in recent times, I felt like the thing that my brain tends to go for, especially with the tank behind me, is that I was going for like a bit of a triangular composition, which is probably like the easiest thing to go for when you're doing like escape. But then at the same time, I've set it up and laid it so there's crevices, there's caves, there's plecos in there, there's like little loaches, there's all sorts of little creatures living within like the scape. Like personally for me, I like setting up a not a full blown aquascape, but something that resembles one, but also is beneficial for fish. Like you were saying about your tank, you wouldn't exactly call it a aquascape, but you'd say like it's beneficial for fish, and you've got the breakage of line of sight and stuff like that.
I think with sort of, you know, a lot of the high end aquascapes you see as well, like the emphasis is more on this, you know, the actual scape rather than on the fish. Like, you know, you'll always see sort of these real high tech tanks with the CO2 and everything like that. And then there's just a few fish sort of buzzing about. And I think, yeah, absolutely, with sort of fish choice and things like that. I mean, you know, if you're having corridoras, for example, they'll soon rearrange all the substrate and everything for you. So, yeah, I think that's a good point on, you know, thinking about what fish you're keeping and sort of making it just as nice for them as it is for you as well. Yeah, definitely.
Like with what you said there as well, I really love these, you know, where it looks like a couple of rocks and it just looks like a field of grass. So you've got Monte Carlo, a carpet plant, like that looks incredible. But I can't help but think in my mind, how stressed are them fish because they've got no hiding place. There's nowhere for them to dart around. They're just kind of there and it's the bottom. And then if it's an open top, more than likely they're going to go, oh, in the fish's mind, they're thinking, I'm going to try and go for cover. And they're going to go, whoop. So that is like what my mind thinks when I see them kind of set up that thing. It's incredible. But like, again, it's finding the right fish for that scape, like something that doesn't mind being in a bit of an open tank with a carpet and stuff like that. Again, it's so wide and vast, isn't it, aquascaping? It isn't just, you know, like we said, rule of thirds, triangular composition, that it can, like Clam Naparist, Steve has said in the chat there, he said that he scaped for breeding, which again, like he set up a tank that is essentially trying to replicate the fish's natural habitat.
Yeah, I did an Iwagumi style a while ago with ember tetras, and it was completely pointless because although it looked nice, I never saw the ember tetras because it wasn't the right environment for them. They were always hiding, they, you know, ducked behind some of the rocks, and essentially it was a pointless thing to do. So yeah, although the tank, again, you know, the tank was really nice to look at, but what was the point? Because like for me personally, I know everyone's different, but like I'm more about the fish. Like obviously I want the tank to look good as well, but I'm more of a fish keeper than a plant keeper. And I know there's people out there who are more into the plants and that side of thing, and they have less fish, but that's not for me personally. So yeah, you've got to you have got to consider the fish really at the end of the day.
100%.
I think it's hard though, because one thing I would say is no guppy, well, not no guppy, 99.9% of guppies in the hobby have never seen the natural environment and have probably come from either an empty aquarium in a breeder's, you know, breeding room, fish room sort of thing somewhere, or probably like a concrete pond out in some tropical, you know, country where they're being bred. So you've got to try and match it. But I think it's just making the fish happy, isn't it? Just trying to make sure if you do escape and then the fish aren't happy, then you've got to change it, because there's, well, I suppose, like you said, if they're plant keepers, it's fine. But, you know, if those fish aren't going to be happy long term, there's no point in it for me personally.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think when I'm setting up a SCAPE as well, something I'm considering, as well as the fish being happy, is how they're going to interact with parts of that SCAPE. So have you got some branches that are flowing that they could swim in between and things like that? Because you don't want to see a fish just swimming in a circle all the time. Seeing them interact with the SCAPE is part of the enjoyment of it. And seeing, especially like schooling fish, how they'll flow through all of the gaps in the plants and the spindly bits of wood and everything. But then also, I think it's important understanding the stock that you're going to put in that aquascape and how that mixture of stock will affect your aquascape as well. Because shrimp only tanks, shrimp with fish, you're not really ever going to see a shrimp. So they're always going to be hiding. But in a shrimp only tank, there's no predators there, and you can have a really open tank, really open scape like Iwagumi styles and stuff like that, with not a lot of hiding spaces, and they'll be absolutely fine because they're not scared of anything.
Yeah, I think that was like a really good point that you've made there. But I think we should now probably move on to our next topic, because you've still got a fair few to make our way through, if that's all good. And to be honest, it's definitely a topic that I think you'll be happy about, because these are some of your questions actually. So next topic, shrimp basics.
Way.
So, what's everyone's thoughts? What do you think the basic thing is for shrimp? Now, we'll give you the platform because this is what you specialize on, and then we.
Oh, you don't want to start with me. Don't start with me.
Oh, you don't want to. You don't want to start.
I'll fill in the gaps.
All the pressure.
Mature tanks. That's all I'd say. Mature aquariums. Shrimps never do well with no biofilm or anything like that. Like, you need a mature tank.
Yeah, I think shrimp definitely like that stability. I waited a month almost. I mean, to be fair, I had no choice in the matter. The tank that took that long to cycle. The 15 litre that I've got on the top of the rack, I put my Bloody Mary shrimp in there, and that took me the best part of a month. And the tank was starting to be covered with algae. I added a couple snails in there too. I was adding a bit of like food every now and again, even though there wasn't much eating the food. It was just maturing the tank and getting it a bit more prepared for the actual cycle. And that way, then when the shrimp went in, there was enough biofilm and stuff like that for them to graze off. And like, I sometimes leave the light on a little longer. Sometimes like it's a super bright light, the super fish tanks, and like it's cerulean stone, so it's starting to go green, but I'm not going to scrub that off because that is essentially food for the shrimp. So I'm just going to leave that there, and then that should be like a natural food source for them, that they don't have to be constantly scavenging around or whatever, or waiting for me to drop a pellet in.
I think with shrimp at its most basic, I would say, as you already said, stability is one of the key things, but the other two key things are patience and consistency. So patience is in having the patience to allow the tank to fully cycle, and then giving it the extra time after that to mature, which can sometimes take up to 8 to 10 weeks. And then just having the patience to allow them to breed properly, not always messing around, putting your hands in the tank and moving stuff around. Just have the confidence in yourself and the patience to leave the tank as it is. Consistency wise, that's all about consistent testing of your water, making sure that you set yourself a routine to follow, and you're always on point with that, because shrimp are super sensitive. And that hand in hand goes with the stability that you're talking about, because where they are so sensitive, even the smallest swings in pH or ammonia and nitrate spikes, especially in the smaller nano tanks that you tend to keep shrimp in, it's really important to keep on top of that.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry.
Sorry. Like for me, based on sort of my experience, is I kept. Well, I mean, I've got a mono shrimp and I've kept Neocaridina shrimp, and I've always sort of put them in fish tanks effectively. And I think if there's one thing I could learn from that, it's that they deserve sort of their own space, really, because you're going to get more character out of them. They're going to breed better. Because even though you can keep them with fish, it's very hit and miss, because the chances are that most fish are going to pick off little shrimplets anyway. I mean, I've kept cherry shrimp with a better, and he left them alone for ages, and then he just destroyed them all. So I think, yeah, as others have said, stability is definitely key. Just don't rush it. And the other one as well is filtration. I think that go with a sponge filter. You know, if you intend on wanting a shrimp tank, then give them do a shrimp tank. It doesn't need to be a big tank, and just give them that room for themselves, really, because I think they're really enjoyable little creatures on their own without the need of adding fish in there. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, and someone's just dropped something in there. It isn't a question. Well, it's a bit of a question, but it's based on the topic, so it's not branching into any kind of Q&A thing. But someone said there, why do you think shrimp are so expensive now?
I think there's a couple of answers to that.
Okay.
I think so. It depends on if you're looking at cherries or Caridina. So Caridina is all to do with the rarity of the genetics, and how hard it is to achieve those, and at the rate you can get them. So for example, boa shrimp, when they breed, say there were 30 eggs that hatched from that round of young from the shrimp, you might only get a success rate of maybe about 30% of those actually coming out as a true boa, and the rest would be what you call cull grade. So naturally, that makes it harder to achieve those, and it makes the amount of them in the hobby available less, which drives the price of those up. That's with loads of different types of Caridina shrimp. You get that, and some are much rarer than others. Neo-wise, I know in the last sort of 10 years, we've gone from maybe like £1.99 for a cherry shrimp in the shops to in some places £7.99 each. And to be honest with you, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I think it's crazy because like I think it's just the general imports maybe from working in a shop. Like a lot of shops are importing. Obviously, some shops will also get local breeders to get their supply in and stuff like that, and then that makes it cheaper for the shop and also more affordable for the fish keeper. But like you were saying, the increase with demand, like certain species may take longer than others. I think like a good example, if you're stemming into like fish, for an example, like rainbow fish are quite relatively easy to breed, but raising the young up takes a long time. And I guess it's maybe again like getting it right, and also the amount of time it takes for like a Caridina to breed. Neo Caridina, like you said, it's a bit of a question mark in that because of how easy it is to breed them. But with a Caridina, it takes that bit longer, and again, it's the right parameters and stuff like that. And then it also reaches the point too where, okay, has the breeder bred that species in RO or in specific water requirements, and then when they end up in the shop, is the shop keeping them in that, and then will they be alive long enough to end up in someone's tank? It's one of them. Like, do you think? I think one of the reasons I'm thinking in my head as I'm speaking now is probably the correct treatment of them, like if they're kept in the right way.
Yeah,
I think the main other thing you might have as well is that when I was first importing cherry shrimp back in the shop, that was like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, they were like not the wild star ones that you see when you mix all the colors, but they certainly weren't the like bright red, solid yellow, solid orange ones that you're getting today. So I wonder how the price has gone up just because they've become a little bit more specialist. And actually, if we could just go back to, I just want a bag of vaguely red shrimp, I wonder how much that would bring the price down, because you don't see those old school, well, I say old school, it's not that long ago, but you don't see those sort of cheaper shrimp anymore. You just see the fancier ones. And then you go up to the boas and stuff and then it's even more insane. But I do wonder how much of it is selective breeding's now got it where a lot of breeders out in, Southeast Asia aren't sending the low grades, they're just sending the better quality stuff, which means it's just more expensive.
Yeah, I think there's a lot less of the skittle shrimp tanks in there, and that people are wanting to keep things pure now. And like you said, I don't see many like transparent shrimp coming through on deliveries when I've been in the shop. It's just part of the hobby, I guess. A lot of things are getting a lot more expensive. COVID was probably a massive thing that changed that too, and then caused issues with import of fish, import of products, and certain things like that. And everything's now just inflated so much. But then again, it also depends where you are in the world. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who, when I first started the channel, shout out to you, AV Scapes. Essentially, he lives in Canada, or I think he lived in Canada, and he was saying it was £8 in the Tetra. So to put into perspective, it depends where you are in the world as well.
Yeah, I think popularity for sure. Like if I look back at when I first was in the hobby, like back in 2006, betters were in a similar sort of way in that I could go into several different fish shops, and the only betters you would find were like veil tail betters, and they were like £8. And then fast forward to 2 years ago, I'm going in fish shops and I'm seeing all these different colours, different tail varieties, and they're like 25, 30, £40. And it's like, well, that sort of, to me, that feels like it happened really fast. And I'm thinking with shrimp, you go on YouTube, you type in shrimp tanks, and there's so many cool scapes that people have made with shrimp in, lots of different colours, lots of variety. you know, there's lots of people that are obviously breeding them and selling them. And I just think that maybe at one time, like, they probably didn't get much of a look in. I don't know. But now, I mean, you know, like I mentioned before, I'm thinking of doing like a dedicated shrimp setup myself because they're just cool little things, really. And they have a low bio load, of course. Lots of different colours. I mean, what's not to love, really? You know.
100%. I think, like, for people that want to breed and want a little project on the side, but also less involvement, you don't have to be constantly on top of things, then I think shrimp is a good thing. I'm not experienced in Caradina. Em is a lot more than myself, and probably you guys too. But Neo Caradina, it's one of them that you probably do a water change very rarely, unless there's something wrong with your parameters. Yeah, I don't know if you have much input on the Caradina side of things, but like I was saying there, it's so much easier as well with shrimp because of the size of the tanks you need to. For this whole rack, I could fill out, if I added the extra shelf that I didn't add, probably could have had like 3, 6. Oh.
I'm going to use my fingers, Adam.
Quick maths, come on.
I probably could have had like 14 to 16 little cube tanks of shrimp tanks if I wanted to. Whereas because I've got multiple different sizes and that, it's a lot harder to, you know, make space for things and stuff like that. And of course, if it's in someone's home where they're not like me, where I'm setting up a multiple tanks a week, or like Matt, where he's literally got a garage or a fish room filled out, and like M2 with a fish wall behind him too. It's like everyone's homes are slowly converting into an aquarium. The average person, if they've got an office and they just want a little tank on the side, it's easier to have shrimp because you don't have to worry about so much more things than if you were to keep your fish.
Yeah,
Shrimp tanks definitely do make a good project, 100%. And what you were going back to what you're saying, so with Neos, I'd say, yeah, relatively easy. Once you set it up, really, you're only changing the water maybe 10 to 20% every other week at the most. And that's just to make sure that you're taking the nitrates out, really, because you don't want it building up too much for the shrimp. But it'd be even less than that if you've got loads of plants in there. If you're breeding them, obviously you do just want to take more of the water out. The reason for that is when the shrimp breed, so the water change is almost essentially just take a pheromone out, a hormone out of the water, because when the shrimp breed, apparently there's this hormone that can be released that can make them slow down their breeding. So you just want to be taking a bit of water out for that reason, and just to get all the little bits of gunk and everything out of the bottom now and then, so it's not building up. But other than that, Neos, once you got them going, yeah, easy. Caradina, kind of, it's as easy as you make it. It depends how much you prepare yourself when you first start doing it. It depends how meticulous you are with everything. But things I'd say can change a lot quicker in a Caradina tank, especially when you're using the RO water and having your KH at 0 or as close to 0 as possible. Because as you know, when your KH is at 0 or close to 0, your pH can swing quite wildly. So it's something you've always got to keep an eye on. Once you've been doing it for a little while, you kind of do settle into knowing what to look for and knowing if anything looks a little bit off by literally just looking at the tank. But I'd say those first 6 months definitely of a Caradina tank, you're almost testing like every day to every other day.
I think that's like a good point, like you said.
I don't want many Caradina tanks if I'm testing every day. I can't be dealing with that. That's like, this is hard enough to deal with. If I've got to start testing every day to every other day to make sure, and that's the thing, isn't it? Is whether you're doing it properly and making them thrive, or you just want to keep some shrimp in a tank and you're happy if you get a few babies. I think that's the difference between it, isn't it? So many people get scared off, or don't do enough or do too much, and I think you've just got to find your where you want to be, what you want to do, what you want out of it. And as long as the animal is happy and doing well, then yeah, you go to where you want to be.
Yeah, I think like that covers essentially shrimp basics for everyone there. But what would you say? I think did we cover like feeding like shrimp and stuff like that? Like how this is something that I think a lot of people maybe get wrong. How often should you feed your shrimp?
I'd say it completely depends on the number you've got in there and if you've got them in with anything else. So let's just say you had a colony of maybe 50 cherry shrimp in a tank. I would say that you should probably feed them once every other day, but also make sure that there is a level of algae and biofilm in that tank for them to graze on in the meantime. If you overfeed your shrimp and that food rots and everything, it's going to push up all of the bad stuff in the water and foul it. So I'd always say as well, you use a feeding dish if you can, especially with Carradino, so you can remove any excess. But there are some foods out there as well that don't mess with your water quality. So soya hulls is one of those. It can just sit in the tank for as long as until it's eaten, basically. But other things that can happen when you're overfeeding your shrimp as well, and they're not getting all of it, is that you can end up with, if you end up with any snails in the tank, the snails will take all that extra food and then you'll have a big boom of snails or scuds and other things like that. So like I said, it all depends on the size of your colony, but I'd say if you pop some food in and there's anything left after sort of half an hour, take it out.
Yeah, that was a great answer. I'm just trying to zoom back out now because this is and something that I'm getting used to. But yeah, like you said, probably like depends on what you've got. Depends on what food you're feeding to. What food would you say is the most suitable then? Because I've seen a couple of comments there, and people are saying like snowflaking it'd be a good option. I usually do the one pellet and like not a large pellet either. I'll break it into a small piece because I don't want to be, like you said, foul on the water too much.
So with food for shrimp, it's important to, I'd say, have a rotation of different feeds that offer different nutrients to the shrimp and just a variety. Sometimes if I've been feeding one type of pellet too often to the shrimp when I've not been paying attention, they'll show less interest in it. But also you're getting different nutrients for them that support different parts of the shrimp with what you feed. So you want to make sure they're getting protein in some of the food, calcium and other bits of the food to support their exoskeleton and their molts, and just other bits like greens as well. It's going to support their immune system, their color. So for example, you could once a week blanch some spinach or get some cucumber on a stick, pop that in there. And then 2 days of the week, maybe use a snowflake food. And then 2 days of the week, maybe use some shrimp cuisine pellets from Hikari or something like that. But just keep a good rotation that offers them variety so that they don't get bored and that they're getting everything they need in terms of nutrients and minerals and stuff like that.
Great answer. And with that, I think what we'll now do is move on to our next topic, if that's all good, unless anyone else has anything else to input on that.
No, don't think so.
That's why we had Somerset Shrimp Shack here. We didn't need to answer the shrimp questions ourselves. Then he's perfect.
Yeah, you have
It
the
is his
perfect
question, to be
opportunity.
fair.
I'll be silent for the rest of the podcast now.
That's it. Yeah, stop talking.
Mr. Shrimp
Actually, just a
Scramble.
quick one before we move on to anything. That sounds sick in the background, by the way. Let's just zoom in on that real quick for everyone. Look, M's merch is next level. Like, have you seen all his hoodies, his t-shirts, his tote bags, and he's got a glowing sign in the back.
Yeah, I do feel a little bit like lacking now. I need to.
I mean, I've got all this. That's about it. Yeah.
I've got things like lockets and stuff hanging around my desk, so I'm not. I can talk without actually sounding like I'm got full of cold or something.
Yeah, throw your disco lights on for people who've only just joined.
On the disco lights, I don't even know why I've got these. I have no idea. I even forgot they were there. This is where they get stuck on it in a minute because it's quite dark without them.
Can we get a disco shop mat spam in the chat?
Disco shop mat.
That can be your neon sign.
Yeah, see, I do need something because this wall. Look at this wall. Look. It's just nothing.
Just paint it green for like green screen, innit?
I've got. Oh no, it's not up. I've got a green screen curtain because I was going to do a load of green screen work and then I didn't do it and I didn't get round to it. So yeah, no, I've got plans. I want some skateboard decks on the wall, and then I can write all my members' names on them. I think is what I want to do. But I just need to find a really cool skateboard deck that isn't too graphic heavy.
I bet we can do a Somerset Shrimp Shack skateboard.
Listen to him. He's got everything, isn't he?
He's got a factory line production of merchandise. I've got my I don't even think this is Teespring. This one, I think I went on some website. It was like, I was like, I need something for my videos. My actual merch is out there, and like, it's not too complimentary either. I was looking in the pictures of me over the weekend. I was like, I don't look like I've got a beer gut, do I? Oh my word! need the right. Yours is well fitted and like smooth attire. Like you look hench in it. Not saying you're not hench, but like it's good quality. let's move on to our next one anyway. So we're going on to now. Hoof, this is a topic. I'm sure everyone's got their opinions. I'm sure everyone's got their thoughts about this. So let's get into it. Who wants to go first?
As long as nobody mentions blackbeard algae, we're okay.
Are we all struggling with it right now or something? Is that what?
We're all fighting it.
Blackbeard algae.
I've not got any at the moment.
I'll go first.
You're the only one. What?
Go on, Adam. He wants it first.
Yeah, I'll go for it first. Right. So if you're, in my opinion, again, this is just my experience really, that at the heart of it really is that the light on your fish tank is for, well, it depends. If it's not a planted tank, then the light is just for you so you can see what's going on in there, you can see your fish. Because really the fish don't particularly care about a light. It's just that if you're using live plants, then of course you're going to need to put some light in there to help them grow. Now, with that in mind, I found that when you're first setting up a new tank and planting it and everything, I found that it's best to not exceed sort of 6 hours of light for the first maybe month or so. And then you could try increasing it up to 8 hours. If that doesn't work, go back to 6. Generally speaking, I found that 6 hours seems to work the best. Now, don't get me wrong, you don't get phenomenal plant growth. It's not really fast. It is a bit slower and a bit more restricted. But I've found that generally when I'm cleaning my tanks and everything, there isn't a lot of algae on the glass. So I've sort of stuck with that now, and I've found that's the best way to go with it. I know, you know, you can always get like the blackbeards and things like that, and sometimes it can lead you to having to dismantle your tank and start again, unfortunately, if it gets really bad. But yeah, I've just found for me that if you're not using live plants, then really only put your lights on when you're in front of your tank. I wouldn't even consider putting them on if you're out. Like I've seen people have them on for 12 hours a day, and then they're like, "Why is the water green?" Well, that's why really. So ultimately, the fish don't care. It's the plants that need it. And if you're not using live plants, then just don't put the lights on unless you're sat in front of them. Really, that's just my feelings on it.
I think that was that you've silenced us all very quickly there, Adam, because you've essentially just covered everything that anyone needs to know. Really, you don't answer that really well.
I think one of the big things I would say to people though is every tank is different. Every single aquarium that I've got in this house is on a different timing structure. Like there's the Anubias tank upstairs actually is still running, and that's like, no, I don't even know, 10 months old, 12 months old. And that runs on 2 hours of light a day. That's it. It's literally, and it's got a double bar light in it. And I only run one of the bars for 2 hours a day. And every time I film, I talk about it. And it's been ramped up to 4 hours before, but it's roughly in that sort of time frame. And then like my new tank, my Highline, that's got crypts and all sorts of bits in, that's running at about 9 hours, 10 hours. And again, very little algae now that the algae eaters are in there. I haven't released that video yet. All my fish are in that tank now. Yeah, and it's making sure every tank is different. I actually broke the light on one tank with Anubias, crypts, and Bucephalandra in, and it's in my garden room, so there's quite a bit of light because it's like got big French doors, so it lets in a lot of light, but not direct. And I didn't put a light back on that tank, and the plants are still doing really, really well with no lighting on it at all. Just the room is bright. and it's surprising how well they've done. So I would say every tank is slightly different, and just keep an eye on it, work out what you're doing. But there's so many things to it. There's not one answer. You know, you might be water changing with tap water that's full of phosphates and nitrates, and you think you're doing good by doing lots of water changes, but actually you're just replacing the nutrients as the algae is using it up as a food source. Or, you know, you're feeding too much. Actually, one thing that I not found out recently, but one thing that came across my possibly my TikTok that someone was chatting about, and I'd sort of put it to the back of my mind, was how quickly some foods can break down and release nutrients into the water if they aren't taken up by a fish very quickly. So things like flake foods can release their nutrients really, really quickly because there's not much to them, whereas pellet foods and bigger, sort of chunkier foods don't release the nutrients into the water. And I saw someone mixing flake food into water and then pouring it into the tank, and it sort of reminded me that that can cause mega issues because all the nutrients have just released into the water instantly. The fish aren't eating anything, they're just eating flake, and there's nothing to it. And you've got all those nutrients floating around in your water then. And someone in the comments was trying to tell this person to stop mixing water with flake food and leaving it for like 5 minutes on top of the tank, because the flake food is pretty much worthless at that point.
I think like you said there, that was a good input. And also we also had a comment there off Rebecca as well, and she was saying Anubias is found way low in the forest floor, so won't get much naturally. I think most plants have a set amount of hours and light dependent on photosynthesis, and I think that's a really good point there that she said, is that everyone's aquarium is different for the reason, like you said, Matt, it's all different because of the fact that the water is different in every tank, just slightly. The substrate or maybe the rocks you use are slightly different. And then as well, there's probably different plants, unless you use the same plants in every tank, then that's probably something that's quite unique. But yeah, it's all down to the individual tank. But I think, like, relating back to Adam's point too, is that there is such thing as too much, and there is also such thing as too little, and it's just finding what's right for you and what the right balance is. Again, if you've got a planter tank, then certain plants may require more light, but then if you've got lower light plants and they're right up in the top and they're receiving that bright light, and then the other plants do it fine, then you could end up getting the algae all over that area, or, you know, your output's targeted towards them plants. And so like, it is just a trial and error thing, and I don't think there's like a definite answer for everyone. There's a generalized question, and I think like the safest way to answer green water is probably, like Adam said too, if you got your light on far too long, that'll be one, especially if you haven't got plants to consume them nutrients as well. Yeah, so many different things to go on about there. But what would you say, in terms of algae, what is the hardest one to get rid of?
BBA.
BBA?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think so?
I think so. That was the one that most, because that was the one that most people have problems with in the shop, because it's so tough, like, and thick, and they wouldn't normally tackle it early on. It would be, I've had this algae for 3 months now, and it's on every rock in the tank, and, you know, they would dry it out and it would just go like a crust over the top of the rock. So I think that was the one that most people had problems with, because a lot of the soft algae, I don't think you see it because a lot of the fish eat it. So you don't get those problems with like the filamentous light green or the diatoms, because generally they'll get a fish, it'll eat it, or it'll, you know, mooch about in it and it'll disappear. But whereas that BBA, honestly, people would suffer with it for months and months and wouldn't, just wouldn't get on top of it. And then all of a sudden their whole tank is full. I don't mind it. I think if it's grown right, I think it can look quite cool. But yeah, I think that is the one that I would say most people suffer with in the shop.
I think my one at the moment has to be this moss ball algae I've got. You can keep ripping it out, it'll keep growing back. You can dose it with liquid CO2 or hydrogen peroxide. If it's somewhere in the tank, it will survive. It is literally like moss. Like, it's like when you've got Java moss and you've chopped it across. and you siphon it all up and you think it's gone, and then it appears again. It's like the duckweed of algae.
Yeah.
It just returns. It's like these Star Wars films somehow Palpatine returned. Like it just comes back from like the dead kind of thing.
We made a mistake actually in when me and MD set up the pea puffer tank in the shop, like however many years ago that was. We broke up moss balls and put it into like the breaks in the wood, and it looked great for about 6 months, 8 months, and then all of a sudden it was just everywhere. And yeah, it was an absolute nightmare. We were trying to harvest it and take it out, and just every piece of wood ended up covered in it. It looked quite cool, but yeah, I can see how you would not be able to get on top of it.
Yeah, and I think with that we've probably covered the general consensus about algae as a topic, but also control too. So we will now move on to our next topic, if that's all good. So we've now got this one, which we were talking about before we started live, because we all had to meet in and make sure the live was working. This is quite a broad one. The best way to set up a planted tank.
Everyone's going to have a different answer for this, aren't they?
The chat's going to go mental now, because I know everyone's going to say their piece and we're going to say our piece, and it's like no one's exactly right, but who wants to go first and say what your version or your thoughts are?
I'll go first.
Sure.
So I think it kind of, for people, it will depend on your budget as well. But for me, setting up a planted tank, I'm always going to start with the aqua soil first, and then if you've got the money to spend, it would be worth putting some NutriBase down on top of that too. And then I'll always cap it with sand, and that's just because I don't want any of those nutrients leaching out into the water column in the tank, and potentially causing me algae issues and basically not being available for the plants for very long. I don't want to have to rescape or reset that tank anytime soon if it's a nice planted display tank. So I'd get the aqua soil in, move it all around, all the different levels, build it up at the back if I want to, NutriBase, get that sand in. And then for me, I'll get my hardscape in before I do the planting. And I'll probably fill the tank just above the substrate to help me plant everything in, because whenever I've tried to add the water in after that, everything kind of moves and shifts a little bit. And then, as you would, you're at the back, your tall plants or your long stem plants moving in towards the middle, and then like your smaller ones at the front and the sides. That's my style. I know you can create depth by switching that around a little bit, but I like to have everything kind of flowing towards the front when I do a planted tank. And then another thing that I'll always make sure I do when I get a planted tank to help me combat any potential algae issues is I'll make sure I use a mixture of slow growing plants and fast growing plants. Because if you have just all slow growing plants, sometimes they can't outcompete the algae and you'll always get an algae issue. Whereas if you've got a mixture, like some floating, some stem plants that are quite fast growing, and then other things like your epiphytes and your mosses that are a bit slower, kind of creates that nice amount of balance, and it gives you variety in your SCAPE as well.
Sorry, I was just responding to a super chat there. So we've now reached the official 10 super chats there, so we've hit the goal now, and we'll finish this topic, everyone, if that's okay. Not right now. We'll continue it on, and once we finished it, we'll go into the Q&A and then continue on with our topics, if that's all good. But yeah, like you said, there's so many ways to set up a planted tank. Like, for example, there's Matt's one with all the epiphytes, the Anubias, and is the boost in there? I think it's just mainly Anubias.
Which one? The upstairs or this one?
Upstairs.
Yeah, it's got a carpet of boost now, because every time I break down a tank and have like a singular boost, it goes in that tank. So I've now got a like carpet of boost in the bottom of that tank, which is quite cool. Yeah, it looks really nice. But I'd say, like, so on a different aspect or a different way of looking at it, and when people used to come into the shop and they'd be like, I want to do a planted tank, how do I do it? we would always make sure they've done the things that you can't do at a later date. So always make sure they've got some sort of nutrient-rich substrate in the bottom, or, you know, plant substrate, soil, whatever it might be, because you can't go back in 6 weeks' time, really, you don't want to, and drain it all down and rip all your SCAPE out and try and put some nutrients in there. So it always make sure, like, your base level, just get the soil in there, because you can do whatever you want after that. If you want to go full planted, you can chuck a CO2 system, you can buy an expensive light unit, you can go, the sky's the limit. But whereas if you haven't got that base layer in there, you've then got to rip your tank apart. So we always made sure if someone wanted plants that they would start there, and then you would start talking them through, you know, liquid fertilizers. And essentially, like, for me, every step you do makes your planted tank better. And until you do those steps, you don't realize. But like, adding CO2 to a planted tank is like next level. When I went to the shop and done the tank, I've done very little to the tank, but I filmed Owen at my old shop. He used all epiphytes, all in vitro pots that were tiny. And I went back like a month later, and this tank was just rammed. It was full of plants, and I couldn't believe how quickly it had grown. And that was because nutrient-rich substrate, plant fertilizers going. Oh no, he didn't put plant fertilizer. It was just CO2 actually, because he was relying on other stuff. So yeah, it was just insane, and good quality lighting. So yeah, I'd say always make sure you've got a plant-rich substrate. Other than that, everything else can come with time, but do not SCAPE your tank without it.
Yeah. Anyone else's inputs there? What do you think?
Yeah, I think like Matt and Emma said there about substrate. Obviously, there's lots of aquasoils you can buy which are very expensive, but you can get like plant substrates which are like you know, like a sort of very fine soil which you can use, like Denali do one and Tropica and other places like that, and they are a little bit cheaper than aquasoils. And then of course you can cap it with like a sand or a fine gravel. The other thing as well is that, like, I would always say, try and reserve a lot of your budget for plants, because the more plants you put in, the better it's going to keep sort of algae at bay and things like that, because the plants are going to outcompete that. And of course, when you're picking your plants, they'll always have like a label on them, like, you know, like a different categories, like easy, sort of intermediate and harder levels. So if you go for sort of green plants, they should work in most, you know, setups really. You don't necessarily have to use loads of hardscape if you don't want to. I mean, hardscape can be expensive. If it's your first one, I'd say just spend all of your money really on the substrate and the plants if you can. And the other thing as well is a lot of videos, obviously on YouTube, about Wallstad tanks, dirted tanks. They do work, but I'd say sort of steer clear of those if it's your first one, just because they're hard to get right and they're hard to keep right over a long period of time, really. So avoid sort of that way of doing it would be my advice on that, really.
I think like that was like a great point there. Like that there are so many different methods to setting up a planted tank. For example, like our friend Joseph Aquascaping, Joseph Aquascaping on Instagram. We've just set up a tank that primarily the substrate was gravel, and he was talking about how all the food and the fish waste and that goes into the gravel, and then that's like a natural food source for your fish. Whereas like sand is quite difficult to maintain, because like you have to siphon over the top, and you need fish turning it over to make sure it doesn't go anaerobic, or it doesn't start to like clump up, and then that way become a root cause, a problem causing fish health issues, or water parameter issues and stuff like that. I think like one tip of advice, when I spoke to George Farmer at Aqua, and he said it in videos before, and he reminded me of it, and it was him saying that the key thing to do is grow plant, and like this stems into our last topic as well. Grow plants first. Don't worry about the algae. If you can grow plants, then the algae will always be at bay. But if you're constantly fighting to control the algae, then you will never get that balance. Yeah.
No.
But yeah, I think that we've all kind of covered some good points there, would you say?
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
it's
so. I think
Right. So with the demand of the audience, 10 super chats and more memberships and all sorts, shout out to Mr. G for being a member of 13 months now, channel member, 13 months, which is mental. We've got Aquarium Adventures in here, nice to see Graham. Rebecca too, nice to see Rebecca, I haven't seen you in a long time. And then again, shout out to all the super chats that we've had. So we've got, I've been saying thanks to everyone in the chat, and my chat is lagging. Bonnie Betters, thank you so much for the super chat. We're just reading through these before we start our Q&A.
I think there's a lot of good people in the chat now that will be very good to rotate into SCAPE podcast if they want to, which I think will be quite cool. There's a lot of different people and a lot of different opinions and a lot of different styles, which I think could be very exciting if we can get this sort of thing on a regular to highlight different ways and different things, and some of us dropping in and out and having different people. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, I think that's something that is, again, like we discussed. We didn't initially know what this was going to become, but we've had like a really good turnout tonight, and like so many different people of different backgrounds, of course. So like,
I need to answer the question that's just been asked, though.
Okay, go on.
So, how many super chats for Fish Shop Matt to shave his beard? There is not enough super chat in the world for me to reveal my face.
I can do it much cheaper if anyone's interested.
Yeah.
I did this for 50p. Was it the last live? Was it the live before? I did it for like 68p or something like that. It was tragic. And to be fair, it's grown back quite quick, so I'm okay. But to be honest, there was nothing really there in the first place. If I had something like Matt's or Adam's, I'd be crying. But yeah,
Mia, I was keeping quiet for a reason.
I don't look good with no beard. I don't look good with a beard, but I look worse without a beard.
What about Jay's beard?
Absolutely not. No.
That's me. That's me.
I look like a child. Terrible.
Adam got ID'd after he shaved his.
I did. I genuinely was like getting ID'd for like monsters and everything. Like I was getting away with kids tickets on the bus, to be fair, but I weren't even saying, can I have like a child ticket? They just give me one. I was like, oh, okay.
So I was just scrolling through to see if I could find a photo of me with no beard, and there's none that I am willing to share.
Go on.
I can't remember when it was. It wasn't even that long. It was about 6 weeks ago. I went to Sainsbury's, and I think I told you about this, Adam, as in AH Adam. I went into Sainsbury's. I had a honestly splitting headache all day, right? I went into Sainsbury's on my lunch break, and the lady on the self-serve ID'd me for paracetamol. Honestly, I had my car keys in my hand. I was like 16. Really? Shocking. Honestly, absolutely shocking. But yeah, there you go. Your beard doesn't make a difference.
Oh my word. I'm 28. I got refused for wine recently. I get checked for energy drinks and super glue. It's infuriating. I don't look that young. Haha.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
It's a good thing to be ID'd, though. It is a good thing, especially when you get older. The older you are, the better it is to get ID'd.
I find it mad that I get ID'd more often for energy drinks than I do for alcohol.
I think it's does that say something about society now, though, that kids are going out trying to get a buzz rather than trying to get drunk?
Yeah,
Probably, yeah.
It's mental. But let's see then. If anyone wants to start preparing your questions and drop them in the chat whilst we're taking a moment, if any of the guys here,
I think
now for like an hour.
I think Turner's Scapes has just said something very, very interesting. To be fair,
Okay, sure.
So it says, major question. I have mentioned to a few people, how do we organise an aquascape comp replay ready, steady, cook style and allow the public to judge it with a few pro guest speakers and a prize? Do you know what? This is something that I have spoken to a few companies about recently, actually. A couple of them approached me when I was at Aqua as well, and said, what do you think needs to happen? What do you think needs to happen in the future? So yeah, I think there is definitely a way. It's how you would do it if everyone goes to one location. Like I've mentioned it to NT Labs before, they've got a bit of space in their warehouse sort of officey area where we could probably do a little scape off, but probably not a lot of us. So I think it just takes one company, I think, one company to take the plunge and go, yeah, let's do it. Let's get 8 tanks in, 10 tanks. I think we could do it. I think we could definitely do it. Whether everyone needs to be in one location or I don't know, whether there's something else, whether we can do it each at home. But I think in one location, all on a time limit, all get a random box of rock that we haven't opened yet. It's just one box of rock that, you've picked out of a pile. I think it could be really good fun. I wanted to do it years ago at the shop. And what did I want to call it? The Great British Bowl Off. That was it. And everyone wanted to escape a bowl. That was it. And we never got around to it. And I wanted all the staff to do it. And it was going to be great. But we never got around to doing the Great British Bowl Off. But maybe that's what we need to do. Bowls would be cheaper and easier for everyone to get hold of.
100%.
Was it? It was a video that MJ put out. Was it last week? In Canada, I think it was. ADA hosted one in Canada. I think it was Canada.
We can't be that. We're not that highbrow.
No, not quite that high. But that was a really good sort of setup, and it was a similar type of thing. I think it was sort of a creator paired up with an aquascaper as such, a professional aquascaper or something along the lines of, and it was great. It was a really good watch. I know there's a few sort of well-known faces there as well. King of DIY took part, I think, as well. But yeah, MJ put a good video out on that, and if we can get something like that in the UK, it'd be excellent.
They do them at Aquashellers normally as well. So like Aquasheller has a big scaping competition with I don't know, maybe 3-foot tanks. Yeah, sponsored by Fluval. So they have 9 or 10 3-foot tanks all being scaped by different aquascapers. And then on some of the Aquashellers, they were doing 30-centimeter cube tanks that were then scaped by content creators and not necessarily aquascapers, as it were. I wouldn't class myself as an aquascaper, but I'd have a crack at doing the content creator 30-centimeter cube. They do that. And that's why I mentioned to a couple of companies about Aqua. And I said it would be really nice if someone would just, the tanks don't need to be really nice, expensive tanks because, there's going to be 10 people banging rocks in them trying to build something quite quickly. So you just need some cheap glass tanks that will hold water. And away we go. So I think there's definitely scope in the future to do it. I think it'd be really good fun. I could wear my goldfish jacket and I could host it with a microphone. I could be some weird quiz presenter thing. I'd love that.
There was a mini one, weren't there? I guess it's a competition. There was a prize at the end of it. At the Oase stand where you had 2 minutes to do a speed scape, and I really enjoyed that. Although my scape was abysmal, and then Joe had to put me to shame. Thank you for that, Joe. I really appreciate that. Demoralised me. But no, I think if there was more of that, I think for Aqua next year, if there's, is it confirmed there's going to be another Aqua?
I don't think it's confirmed yet, but I can't see why there wouldn't be.
With how successful it was, I see no reason why there wouldn't be.
The only thing I'd say, it seemed successful from the outside, but I don't know how much work went into the back office of it. Because I walked into one of the rooms and there was 8 people stood there, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of people with Aqua shirts on. So I didn't know if all of them were, staff members. So, but yeah, it did seem successful from the outside looking in.
Yeah, I don't know. it'd be great though if they get a lot more sponsors involved and get a lot more companies involved, and then we're able to like supply that kind of experience. Like in the gaps in between these workshops going on with the aquascapers and the talkers, then there could be for like an hour or half an hour or something, like just a little 5 to 10 little things. Maybe there's a raffle to like enter it or something. I don't know. Something that organized would be really cool to it'd be really cool to be able to get something like that in the UK, or just more events in general. I know there's fish clubs up and down the country. I know there's auctions, but Aqua for me was the first time that it felt like the hobby was all coming together in one place. And like obviously there was a lot of people that had missed out this year, and a lot of people missed out last year. But it was like the first time that I got to meet so many people that I've known over the internet, whether that was hobbyists that I'm friends with, shops, suppliers, or content creators. Like something like that needs to happen more often. And I think, like we said, like you said, from the outside, it looked like that Aqua this year was a good success, and hopefully they can use that to build upon again for next year to be able to provide some kind of experience like that. But yeah, like the original topic anyway, if we were able to get some kind of little competition going on, whatever, that'd be really cool. I waffle too much. Any more questions? Because I know the chat's going crazy.
There was one that we've missed.
We
was
did
it
miss one.
was it the root tab one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Adding
So
tabs.
what about adding nutrition tabs to bland substrate? Nice to see the UK aquarium and aquascaping booming. That's a nice comment from George Evans there. Yeah. So what about that? What do you think? So bland substrate. I've done it before. I've set up just a tank with sand and I've whacked root tabs in, and it's worked. But the nutrients go like that, like very, very quick.
Yeah.
And then if you got fish in there too, if you got nothing underneath, sand moves easy. When it's capped on top of something, it like tends, in my personal opinion, tends to stay a bit more tighter together. But when it's just sand, it's easy for like one of my plecos to just dig a ditch, in which they like to do quite frequent, and they'll dig a ditch, and before you know it, you see these little balls floating around. You're like, what are these? And they've come out of the root tabs that you've whacked in the tank. Well, if you've used the cheaper ones, or it depends what brand you've used. Yeah, I think it's fine. There's nothing wrong with doing it. It depends on what fish you're putting in there. But like I said, I think we'll all probably agree is that it is always good to have some kind of like nutrient layer underneath, for the longevity of the tank. Because before you, and it's a bit more sustainable too, because you're not just whacking root tabs in on a weekly or monthly basis.
Yes, it can definitely work, but it's like, at what point have you spent more money on root tabs than just buying some aquasoil to stick underneath in the first place?
It's more cost effective, 100%, for you to just buy your substrate, buy your bottom layer, and then you don't have to worry about keep topping up with root tabs and things like that. I think, like you say, it's much more cost effective to do it that way. Otherwise, you're topping them up every 6 to 8 weeks.
My face with Jay's voice then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
You tried the lip sync. It was good enough, then.
We're also doing ventriloquism in the Q&A.
Yeah, so there's some more topics in here now.
I thought I just saw a comment about like the rarest fish, and now I can't find it again.
Well, I've seen something off the lad who took a picture with us all at Aqua. Shout out to you, NR Aquatics. What age did everyone start fish keeping?
I've got a photo somewhere, and it wasn't necessarily me keeping the fish, but my brother kept fish before me, and it's really cool actually. The guy who got him into fish keeping, which is he's probably 70 odd now, he still comes and shops in the shop that I was running, which was really cool. Shout out to Garth. Probably not watching this. He doesn't know I do YouTube, to be fair, so he might do. But yeah, I think I was around fish tanks from when I was like 3, 4 maybe. So I've got a photo of me on like a little pedal bike in front of my brother's 8-foot fish tank in our house. So yeah, I've just lived around tanks my whole life. But my first one was when I was like 13. That was mine.
We'll move on to Jay now. We'll work around like clockwork, I guess.
Yeah.
Jay.
So I had fish when I was young, but obviously, what you class as keeping fish when you're a child is quite often subjective, I guess. I think properly, I was probably only about 20 when I really started to gain an interest and started to look into the different sides of the hobby and different things, that different types of fish, different types of plants, different types of hardscape, things like that, all the different things available in fish keeping. I remember it being quite overwhelming at first, but yeah, it's not that long ago. Not that long ago, really.
Next up is M.
I think throughout childhood, there was always a couple of times that there was like a fish tank around. My grandparents had one as well. Pretty sure my mum always said that I used to have a crab. I don't remember it for the life of me, but actual keeping my own tank, I think I was about 17 or 18. I was a terrible fish keeper when I first started. Like probably the equivalent of Darla in Finding Nemo, with like the shaking the fish in the bag, getting too excited. Nothing would, some stuff would come home and be gone by the end of the week. That still happens now, to be honest with you. Sometimes I had a better that I got recently and it lasted a day. But we won't talk about that.
Oh Lord. Blimey. Right. We'll ask after Adam says his point in a moment what happened with that better. Adam.
Yeah, so I started when I was 20. So I had one tank, 300-litre tank, and I just put everything and anything in it, really. That was very much at a time when if you went in a fish shop and asked people in the fish shop, what can I put in it? People went, yeah, that should work. And then, it was a bit of a mismatch of different things, and it worked okay for the most part. And then I had to sell it, get rid of it all, and I didn't come back until 2 years ago. So, yeah, I'm not going to give away how old I am now, but I was 20 when I started.
We all know. We all know.
So you're 23.
Guess the age.
Yeah, 23. Yeah.
Myself, if you, I hammer on about it far too much all the time. If you watch my channel, but I've been doing this 6 years now. My mum's in the chat, so she'll know. She'll say something in response to this definitely. I was keeping fish when I was a kid. Technically, they weren't mine though. We had a goldfish that started in a nursery that was in a bowl, and it was there for 10 years. The nursery closed down. I think they moved on the goldfish to one of our neighbours, and then it lived with the neighbour for about 6 years or 7 years. She can correct me in the chat. And then it got passed on to us, and we had it for almost 20. It was 20 plus years old at the point that it passed. It was called Jaws. And we used to, I say we, we used to feed it blue bottles, like throw flies in the tank and it just go hump and eat them. But it was this giant goldfish in a bowl that, again, don't condone. My mum used to scrub the tank too with the goldfish in, which is definitely something that I would not recommend to anyone in this live. Don't do that. And then it come to uni, and I was in first year of uni, got my first student loan, and I always wanted a tank, and my mum's like, no. So what did I do? I walked up to Pets at Home. Yeah, Pets at Home. Boo, can we get a boo? And I went in, got this little kit tank. It was like a cube. I think it's called the Nexus or something like that. It's got like these little 90-degree white bars going across, but only one of them has an LED in, because it makes you think that they've all got LEDs in, but it hadn't. And then I got some gravel, whacked in that infamous SpongeBob pineapple, and I did have live plants in there, to be fair. But the Pets at Home was actually really good. They gave me good advice. They were like, right, wait a week, and then start off with low stock. And so they gave me 2 cardinals to start off with, and then I slowly built up, and then I had some guppies, and then before you know it, I had a better fish in there, and swordtails in a 30-litre, and it weren't even 30 litres, I don't think. And that's when I moved over to the Fluval Flex. and had that for the longest period of time and kept everything under the sun. I was constantly rotating with that. But that was 6 years ago now, and it's heading towards 7. That's getting scary. Yeah,
Is that
that's
where the
me.
7 comes from in your name?
Yeah, there you go. It's coming full circle. There you go. And I'm about to get my 6th tank with Jay, and then I'll have another tank, and there you go. I'll finally be adding 7 tanks. But for now, I'm adding 5.
I just saw the question. I lost, and it was from Climbing Aquarius. And he said, question for you all, what is the most unusual fish you would own, and what sort of scape?
Oh.
I'm not going to do what, because there's too many fish. Like, there's so many cool fish out there that I'd want to own. I remember seeing flashlight fish for the first time, and like they blew my mind when I saw them at the saltwater suppliers and the wholesalers. But the weirdest fish I have currently is what I believe to be 2 crossbreed Corydoras that you guys have all seen. And I believe, and I've checked with a few people, and I can't place them. I swear they are crossbreeds. So actually, I might send Rebecca a photo. She'd be a good one to ask.
Yes, send it to Rebecca. Rebecca will have your answer, Matt, for sure.
I sent it to one of the like big fish gurus in Maidenhead, and he was like, "Yeah, I think you might be right. I really do think they're a crossbreed." So they're the weirdest fish I have at the moment, and I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with them. But I just didn't want them to go to someone else, and then someone put them in a tank and then breed them with something else, and all of a sudden there's this weird crossbreed, and like hundreds of them get back into the hobby. I just didn't want that to happen.
I think.
God.
What's happened there, Ram?
I have no idea. It's this weird gimbal thing, isn't it? It's just not playing ball right
The
now.
gimbals just went, woo.
Yeah.
Just go with the old-fashioned tripod, mate. Nothing goes wrong. Unless you're doing a walk around, then it's easier. But gimbals are renowned for being a pain in the backside. They like to overheat and be dramatic. I'll say my quick one before I move, because there's a lot more questions we need to power through. Weird fish that I'd like to keep, maybe shadow catfish, or one of them dwarf knife fish that are very like small and like brown. I don't know. I'd like something like that. But these are the kind of things that YouTube people will be like, "What? Oh, we're not going to give you any views for sharing this." So it's a bit difficult and a hard choice, because I like my rare stuff, but it's getting the rare stuff across to people. Right. Quickly, let's get through stuff, because I'm sure this chat's built up now. It says 99 plus comments. What do each of you? All right, speed round, quick. 53 viewers, by the way, concurrent viewers. That's incredible. Thank you, everyone.
Let's do speed rounds.
What do each of you love to see when you walk into an aquarium shop? I'll say man, then Matt, then Jay, then then Adam. What I love to see.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, was Gimbal's gone again? Just get a book. And
I've got a limp gimbal.
The book.
Your limp gimbal.
I've got a limp gimbal.
I'll let the chat comment on that, because we're keeping it PG in here. I love going to a fish shop, and Taunton was great for that, and Maidenhead Blackpool, and Wharf, and other shops like so Mist Call, in that sense, that I've been in. And you go in and you do a lap, and you think you've seen everything, and then you do another lap, and then you think you've seen everything, and you haven't, and then you go to a member staff, do you get these in? Like, oh yeah, we'll have them. And then like they lift up a log and they're there. Like, I love being in a shop, and there's so many layers to it, finding so many different types of fish that you would not think of seeing, and like there's more than meets the eye kind of thing. You get me? Like, it's not
Speed
just
round.
what you see is what you get. Yeah.
Sorry, I had to. Do you know what? I'm going to go proper off-piste with what do I like to see in a fish shop? Staff members that are not on their phones and are smiling and are happy to engage with people and want to like actually talk to you about fish keeping. That's what I want to see in a fish shop.
I fully agree.
It could be the most boring selection of fish, like proper like bread and butter, neons for as far as the eye can see. But if I've got a staff member in front of me that will engage, I'm sold. Good, done. Great shop.
I fully agree. In my without going into the rabbit hole dead quick, I'll say my piece. I used to go to a shop a couple of years ago, mainly on the customer service, and it was way more expensive than the other shops. But one of the shops I'd gone in that are shut down now, there was this old guy that was sat behind the counter, and he had the cheapest fish going. I was about to say ship, almost swore. Cheapest fish going, and I'd ask him questions, and he'd just go, "Eh." I'm like, well, okay then.
Nice.
And I'd be like, oh yeah, I've kept this for ages. It's just, "Eh." Okay. I just wanted to speak to someone about fish. But I'd go to this other shop and they got fed up with the sight of me, but they'd still welcome me every time I come in. It's just that customer service. And like a lot of hobbyists, and probably a lot of people in the chat here too, feel that little bit of loneliness in terms of the hobby, because you want to go in a shop and you want to feel that warmth. You want to have that conversation and show them your tank, get that information, get the correct information and stuff like that. Like, it's that excitement that brings people in. It's not all that fish selection. It's incredible to have that, but it's also the general experience of going in a shop. Anyways, Jay, your point before we carry on with this.
Very quickly, rare Carisins, bracket, open bracket, rare Tetra, close bracket, full stop. Done.
Mia's done Adam there in the chat.
Shrimp.
Watch me, Adam.
I'm done.
I'm not even up to date. I've stayed deliberately up in the chat, and I'm probably miles behind now to see these questions. Right, you quick.
Shrimp. Shrimp.
Okay, done. Shrimp. Adam, what do you like?
African butterfly fish.
Okay, done.
Just a shop full of African butterfly fish for as far as the eye can see. What you?
African
A
butterfly
shop
fish.
full.
Oh my god.
Fish up, Matt. Contact me when you spin some ideas for comps. Okay, red tiger lotus. Okay, keep moving. After 6 months, aqua soil. Okay. Steve asked about rare fish. I think we briefly spoke about that. I think we've answered that actually yet. Looks like a rescape on top. Okay, keep moving. How far away am I? Tips for Blackwater tank.
Lots of botanicals.
Yes. Botanicals. Yes. Keep moving through. Sorry. No carbon. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think that is it. I think it's just don't do as many water changes. Get that tannins right. Get all the botanicals in there, and away you go, isn't it? I'm still unsure though. Like, do you try and do botanicals in the area or not? Do you try and go for like Asian botanicals with Asian fish?
Oh, his gimbal's gone again. We're an hour deep now. It's starting to fall apart.
Where was that question I've just seen? This is going to open a can of worms big time.
Oh no!
Don't give it to Adam. We can't do speed rounds with Adam.
Yeah.
So, question from Adam D. What was your worst fish keeping advice?
As in what we received or what we gave?
I think it's received. I hope it's received.
Yeah, I'm going with received. Mine, and I'll remember it forever, was I've got the black ghost knife fish up in this tank growing up for a future tank. And I went into a shop once when I was like 13, 14, and they had them, and I fell in love with them. And I asked, what do they go with? And they said anything. I said, will they go in my guppy tank? They said yes. And then they told me they like to live in pairs. So me being me, and I'm old enough that when I was in that shop, we didn't have access to Google on our phones. So I just went, okay. So these fish were like 15 quid each or something. And I had like a Saturday job no, I was working full time actually. I was working full time. But I bought these two fish. It was like a day's wages or something. Sounds like I'm from the 30s. Yeah, they ended up, one ate the other one, and then they started eating my guppies. But But I learned very quickly. It was only a day, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't good."
A shop that I'm not going to name gave that advice recently as well. That a customer come in and they were like, "I've got this fish with like a little bit of white on its tail, and the rest of it's black." And I had neon tetras and a better in there too. It was a Fluval Flex like 30. Was it the 30 litre? Yeah, 37. And you were like, yeah, and everything just slowly started disappearing one by one. And like the better fish disappeared too. Like, what's happened? And I went, sorry. And like I showed them a picture. I'm like, oh yeah, that's it. It was a ghost knife that had been thrown in a Fluval Flex 30, 37 or something like that, with a bunch of neon tetra and a better, and everything had just disappeared. And there's this fat, chunky ghost knife in the corner that was still not fully grown. That had probably had the time of its life. Yeah, where's the advice I've got quickly? Oh God.
The worst advice I've had is that red-tailed penguin tetras are peaceful fish.
Was
We're all laughing at Adam right now because he thought he was getting a really nice rare fish that's very expensive, but instead he got the equivalent of a miniature piranha.
Yep, horrible fish.
What's the worst thing I've received? I don't know. You go.
The worst advice was get a fish tank. They're really easy. Now I've got 12 of them, and I spend half my week playing with them.
The worst advice I heard was put baking soda in your tank to make your pH neutral.
Oh dear.
Not like, but like the one that they advised to me was the stuff that you would throw in a cake. So I poured.
But did it work?
I poured
But
in
did it
this
work?
powder.
Did it work?
No, I poured in this powder. And like, that basically made a cake with me fish. And, like the surface was just creamy and like bubbling, and I was like, that doesn't look right. I was like,
Did you
I'm doing
crack some
water
eggs
change. I did.
on the glass?
I don't.
Get the whisk out.
I was like, oh my word! I was like, this doesn't look right. And then like I looked up on the internet, it was clearly the wrong thing. And I was like, and just like I started doing like a 80% water change. All my fish were like lying on the side, like, and just like draining this like fish soup cake out. Yeah.
Have you ever seen that meme of the guy mopping the sea? That's what I imagine Adam to be like.
Yeah. Is there any more questions? Sodium bicarb. Really gassy as well.
Oh, that's a good one. Oriane, we got told we didn't need a filter for a goldfish in a far too small tank. Tank and fish were sold to us at the same time as the fish.
Oh,
Shut it down.
get it out. Reset button. Woof.
Oh,
Outdated
dear.
advice. Oh, no. A goldfish ecosystem tank. 0 water change. Oh, no, not even tank. Goldfish ecosystem bowl.
That's a lake. That's a goldfish ecosystem. A lake. It's not ideal either, as long as it's not attached to an actual water system, like a natural one.
Yeah.
Right. More.
We'll carry on, and then we'll finish with another Q&A for everyone. So we'll carry on with our questions. I'm just going to tell you how many questions we got left, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 questions left. Right.
5? We're in for an all-nighter. Everyone hang on.
What
We've waffled. Adam done a speed round where he answered for about 4.5 minutes. So
I'm just getting roasted now. This isn't even fun. I'm just getting bullied. What food is right for your fish?
What's the fish?
Whose question was this?
What food is right for your fish? Nothing to do with me.
Whose was this? Adam, was this yours?
This might have been one of mine, yeah. And I think it was based on, like, obviously people will go and buy fish and then they'll pick out just a general purpose food. And what I was thinking is, you know, is just general purpose fish food like the best for the fish? Like, should you go and research the specific needs of each specific fish, or is it good to just feed like a general purpose food? It was more sort of from that point of view, really, because obviously you go to a shop and there's like loads. It's like a wall, isn't it, of different fish foods. And I thought some people might be confused about what is the right thing to feed them. You know, do they feed them something varied, or do they just chuck in some, you know, flakes, some cheap flakes or whatever? That was the sort of point of the question, really.
I think that's a really good question, to be fair. And I think sometimes shops. I love that we've gone back to the panel. So, oh no, I want to go back so that I can see, so that I can see M struggling with his gimbal.
No, go back to Matt. Go back to Matt.
But I think it's a very good point, actually, because we used to get it in the shop all the time, where it felt like you were selling too many foods to people. Like, it would almost feel. I think they thought you were trying to like sell them more food. So they'd buy a catfish and you're like, well, you need some sinking pellets for this, really. And then they would buy like, I don't know, something else. And you're like, oh, really? You want some algae wafers for this? Or they'd buy some shrimp. And all of a sudden you're like trying to load them up on these like 4 or 5 pound pots of food. And I think they did used to feel like you were like trying to be really salesy, but it was hard to explain that, like, yeah, just your flake food isn't going to be ideal for all of the different species you've got going on in your tank. And I think you could end up being a little bit like looked upon like you were trying to sell them too much. But I think the more food, the better, really. The more varieties you can get, the more likely you are to find one that your fish really enjoy. Or if you've got a picky feeder, the more different foods you get, the better.
I think you've basically covered all points there, Matt. Yeah, no, like I completely agree. I've got like a variety of different pellets, different flakes, frozen. Well, I need more frozen food. Live food's always good as a thing too. I know a lot of people emphasize that you need that more frequent, but I think that's more so for like the breeding side of things. But yeah, like you said, having that variety and figuring out what fish like what foods, and then like you can maybe generalize your feed then and narrow it down. You can never have too much fish food because it's essential that you give your fish the variety. I think in one of your videos, actually, Matt, you made a video on based on this topic, didn't you? Talking about you wouldn't like having a McDonald's every day, would you? Like you may like it once a week or every 2 weeks, but then if you're eating the same thing every single day of your life, you will get bored of it. So it's good to have that variety, veggies, protein base, yada yada.
Yeah, I've stopped feeding flake myself personally.
Oh yeah.
Just because I found that when I was feeding flake foods, I was having a lot of fish with swim bladder problems. So I've completely stopped all flake food now. I just feed granular food, really. You know, both sort of floating and sinking pellets and things like that. And it seems much better. I've not had any issues with any bloated fish anymore or any sort of swim bladder problems. So obviously lots of people feed flake food, but that's just been my experience with it.
Yeah, I think there's like such thing as different types of food that will also have benefits with them too. Like for example, I actually have a flake food that has garlic and juice in it, and like I don't feed it too often, but like that's something that's good as like, you know, helping sweat out any parasites and stuff like that. Like it's good for the general fish's health, immune system, and then you've got NT Labs also produce the probiotic foods too. And again, that's something that's got the beneficial bacteria that's good for your fish's gut and stuff like that. To just sum it up, like Matt said, and what we've all kind of inputted here is that yeah, it's just good to have that variety. Because at the end of the day, some foods, it's also finding the right balance too. Because having the right type of fish food could also be a thing to talk about in sense of some fish foods may have so much protein or so much in it that if bits fall down and, you know, start to rot away in your tank, could also link to algae control too, like algae issues. So it's trial and error with everyone.
Yeah, it's good to have a range. I think a mix of, say, frozen, like you said. I feed a huge variety, or try to. Again, like you say, frozen foods, NT Labs probiotic you mentioned. I quite like using the Fish Pro small granules that Horizon do. They're really good. I have tried fluval bug bites as well. Some fish seem to like them, some don't. It sort of varies. But yeah, and again, Adam, EBO as well. That ProSoft Artemia is unbelievable. The fish love it. It's a really good food, and I think my sort of staple has been the NT Labs probiotic, the Fish Pro small bites, and the EBO ProSoft Artemia, and then with a little bit of frozen mixed in every now and again, sort of once a week, and that has been perfect. It's been a really positive change in the fish, I think, since I've changed my food.
There's a couple of people in there talking about the NT Labs foods and also the EBO. So I think we've got a good taste of fish foods. I haven't tasted it personally. I'm not sure about yourselves, but our fish love it.
Tasted all of them.
Scapegoat's fish food tasting coming soon.
Yeah, well, someone did say earlier you should contact companies to test products. So why don't we do a fish food testing podcast next time?
To taste them.
And we'll move on to our next one anyway, so we can get through all these before it reaches midnight. So the next one, filter cleaning. Now this is so these are Adam's points. Now I think these are all Adam's points aside from the last three. I think the last three J's. So filter clean. We're getting to that point. Filter cleaning. What's your thoughts on it? How often should you think you do it? As a general consensus, because I know what everyone's answer is going to be. It's going to be like, what have you got in there? It depends what you're stocking. If you've got a load of plecos, that probably means you have to do it more often. Have you got goldfish? That means you have to do it more often. If you've got big cichlids, more often. You've got nanofish once a month. It depends, doesn't it? Really, like what's everyone's thoughts like on a general feel for it? Like how and when do you think we should clean our filter? What are the signs that you should clean your filter and stuff like that?
I think the problem is with it is loads of people forget about their filters because it's out of sight, out of mind. And if the water's flowing, then that's fine. The filter's still working. But when you pull those sponges out and they are just caked with, I'm going to call it mud, then it's obviously going to be releasing all sorts of horribleness into your tank. It's going to be causing problems with algae. It's going to be releasing nutrients. And I think a lot of people, well, the filter's still running, so it's fine. So I think, you do have to relate it to every single tank as individual. Some of mine, like every week easily. Some of them are every 2 or 3 weeks. But I think a lot of people do need to pay more attention to their filters because it's great if it's running, but to remove those bits and particles out of the water and to help your fish, it is better to clean them.
Like I completely agree with you there, Matt. Like cleaning your filter is essential because, for example, water flow. If your water starts to go stagnant, then that can cause issues with obviously oxygen levels in your tank, and then the parameters, just build up of gunk too. If there's a load of waste, if especially if you've got an internal filter, and that's just, or even with an external, because it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference, but having a load of gunk inside the filter and building up, that can start to create, like again, algae issues or ammonia problems or nitrite spikes and stuff like that. It cleaning your filter is the exact same way as cleaning your tank. You could have a crystal clear tank, but if your filter's clogged up with loads of gunk, you're basically fighting an uphill battle. You need to maintain both. And it's what would you say is the right time to do it? Like generally everyone in here, like what would you say is the right time to do a filter clean?
When you're not
Especially when
doing your water
self-preparing.
change.
Sorry?
So what I used to do when I had my big, well, not that big, when I had a 240 litre planted display tank, some people might tell me that I wasn't doing it enough, to be honest, but it was really heavily planted. And I would do a water change once a month because I needed the nitrates and all of that building up in there for the amount of plants. And then on the month I didn't do a water change, I'd clean the filter out. So it was literally one water change every 2 months, and then the month in between was the external canister filter being cleaned, and that worked really well. And I didn't really get any issues with fish. Everything was breeding. The plants were absolutely thriving, and that's the best planted tank I've managed to get without CO2. Because I do think you can definitely overclean, but I would always say if you're cleaning your filter, don't do it at the same time as a big water change. Do it at a different time because you don't want to crash a cycle.
Whoa, what happened to your mic there then?
I don't know. Is it still okay?
It's fine now.
Yeah.
How much did you lose?
Oh my. Is it okay?
I didn't lose anything. I thought it was fine.
I think so.
Oh, Adam's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
We've got
Bye, Adam.
it's turned into a Dalek. Adam to exterminate.
Oh,
What happens if we lose Adam? Do we all
I think we
disappear?
all go. So everyone, that was lovely. Thank you, everyone, for turning. No, we're not. Where's he gone?
We all go down with it.
He'll just have to. He'll have to type in the chat.
Yeah, we all come back with different heads on different bodies.
Something had to go wrong. It's an hour and 46 in. So where were we? Filter cleaning. Should we just
Yeah.
continue?
Yeah, let's
If we do it while Adam's not here, we'll probably finish all the questions within 15 minutes.
Right. Yeah, but I can't change any of the things. So what other what other subject did we have?
Hang on, I think I've got mine written down. If mine were the
What?
last three.
What happens if Adam doesn't come back? Are we live forever?
Infinite live.
That's what you feel.
He's gone.
What happens
he's
now
gone.
to host?
Okay, so we are now live on Adam Seven Fish Tank's channel, and we are now in charge.
Fish shop Matt takeover.
Yes. Right. So what's the next question? So filter cleaning. He's back. Oh, disappointing.
Can you all right, hang on.
What are you saying, Adam?
I can't hear you. I can't hear him. I
Is
can't
it-
hear him.
Okay, can you
I
hear
don't
me?
think he's got any audio.
No, Adam, we can't hear you. No, we can hear you, Adam. We can.
Okay. Right, I'm back. I think we're still live now.
We were ready. We were just going to stay live forever on your channel.
Okay. I think that's good. Right. Are we okay, everyone? Let me know.
We're great.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Nothing wrong with us, Adam.
Why
I
have you got
can-
long hair?
I can change it round. It's fine. Just this needs refreshing because it's lagging. I'm lucky that the software has stayed open, but I can't see it on my laptop's awful. My phone's died. That's why it was lagging and like distorting, because my phone was basically dying.
It might be 20%. I might have to plug it in.
Yeah, I did keep note of it, and it usually gives you a notification that it needs charging at 10%. I didn't. Okay, well,
What's next?
Have we lost viewers?
Is Adam's head in his hands for everyone else?
Frozen like this as well.
Somebody screen grab it.
Oh my god!
Highlight of the stream.
Get that
This is
meme.
abysmal.
If you can screen grab that for me, I can make merch of that.
No, please don't. My phone's starting to reboot now, which is great. The laptop's crashed. Carry on talking as normal, everyone.
Are we just going to do fish keeping with Adam? Adam's going to spend.
Oh.
So what's next? That is the thumbnail. Jordan in the chat. That's the thumbnails. Absolutely. Adam Seven Fish Tanks.
Oh, that is me is to show me. Okay, right. I can see everything's working now.
Oh, he's
Okay.
back.
He's back.
There he is.
Okay. How many views have we got? 40.
We lost like
They're
30
all
in the
gone,
time
mate.
that you were messing
They're all
about.
gone.
Right, what's next, Adam? Click the button before something else breaks.
Yeah, quick.
Adam, that's been screenshotted about 40 times. You're cooked.
I've literally received it like twice on WhatsApp already.
Is Mr. G still in the chat?
to top it off as well, Liverpool are losing.
I was going to say, are you watching are you looking at the game and seeing who's seeing what's happening?
Are they getting beat? Was it Galatasaray?
Galatasaray.
Yeah. Anyway, on with the fish keeping while we're here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daily routine.
No one cares about
Daily
Galatasaray
routine.
and Liverpool.
I agree, Matt.
Exactly.
Anyways, yeah.
Daily routine.
Yeah,
Yes.
this was Jay's question. This was, weren't it?
Yeah.
Mine's mental.
So, I was going to say, it probably doesn't need much of an explanation, does it? What is everybody's daily routine? So, what do you do on a day-to-day basis? What fertilizer do you dose in what amount? What, I don't know, CO2 if you don't use a full CO2 system like me? You've got liquid CO2 in a tank. Does it provide you any benefit? Sort of what do you feed on a daily basis? How much? Things like that. It's a bit of a broad topic, but...
So what I do is when I get up in the morning, I usually either brush my teeth or get a shower,
Oh.
and then I'll have some cereal.
What toothpaste?
Somebody was going to say it, weren't they?
Colgate, Sensodyne.
No, because
That's
we've
not
all
good for it
looking
all.
at each other going. No, on a serious note, I think my daily routine in terms of fish keeping is I usually don't do much until the lights have turned on. And I have the lights turn on quite late in the day, so my tanks get a bit of natural sunlight alongside my house plants. And like I'll leave it be. And then once the lights slowly turn on, I'll whack some liquid carbon in as a start off. I'll have my liquid fertilizer, depending on what tank that needs a daily dosing. Do a feed, and then I'll just let it run out really. And then like nearer to when it gets darker for my nocturnal fish, I'll whack a pellet in or something like that, or maybe a bit of rapashi, depending if I've got some available. Pretty much it.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same for me. Like I just start the morning when everything. Well, no, most of mine turn on in the afternoon because normally I haven't got my backside in gear to start filming in the morning. So most of my tanks turn on at like 11, 12 o'clock to make sure that then sort of the fish are awake for filming. But yeah, mine normally starts at like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and then start feeding and start sort of dosing fertilizers. But the hardest thing is like if I'm filming a tank, I don't want to feed that tank before I film it because it'll just look murky and a bit horrible for an hour or so. So it's like I've done it before where I've gone through and like netted out the duckweed and then gone, I'm meant to be filming that tank today, and all of a sudden it's just like coated in like detritus and there's bits floating around in the water. So it is weird when you've got this many tanks to film. You've sort of got to like think about what you want to do. This tank, I reused the sand actually, and there was a little bit of cyanobacteria in the sand that started coming back. So I like done a quick gravel siphon before I was going to film some final shots, and then just caused a hell of a mess. And then I was like, oh great, I can't film that till tomorrow now. Brilliant. But yeah, it is mostly feeding, water changing. It just varies from day to day. I'm trying to get better at
it. What about yourself, Em? Since you're like a shrimp keeper, it probably involves a bit more technical stuff in terms of like if you're doing parameters or RO for like certain species.
Well, basically, I get home from work in the evening, and then my routine consists of trying to do everything I didn't do the day before, which was everything I didn't do the day before that, which was everything I didn't do the day before that. Trying to catch up with myself, but a lot of it's testing, topping up any evaporated water in the RO tanks, in the Carradina tanks as well. It's usually making sure everything's still alive and that I haven't lost anything. because some of the ones in there are quite fancy and quite expensive. So I do end up spending a lot of time doing head counts, to be honest with you.
Shout out to Claudia.
Claudia's amazing. She's not out at the moment, otherwise I'm sure. But I think as well, one of the big differences with shrimp is it takes a lot of time is culling. So when you want to maintain a certain quality of shrimp, any young that come out that aren't of that same quality, you need to remove to make sure they can't breed back into the gene pool. That's probably one of the lengthiest things. If you don't keep on top of that, you can do damage to your colonies really quickly. And the time it takes to recover from that compared to if you were just spent an hour every day doing that is significant. Other than that, it's just, you know, the usual dosing fertilizers in any tanks with plants, doing your water changes, tidying up if there's too much algae on the glass or anything. But shrimp tanks to maintain, I would say after the initial setup, they're relatively easy. It's just all the extra things that come with looking after the shrimp, like I said, the culling and other bits.
And finally, Adam, what is part of your daily routine?
So similar to what Matt said about the lighting, so I don't have the lights on in the day. They come on about 4 o'clock, and then I have them set 6 hours. That's on all of the tanks, so they're only on if I'm here. And then just really go around, do a head count. Really, I still do that. Feed them all, and that's pretty much it on a daily basis, to be honest. Obviously top ups as well, but some of my tanks have put covers on now, so I don't really need to do that. But yeah, generally that's pretty much it on a daily basis. No, I don't put any plant fertilizers in, actually. I only do those on a weekly basis with water changes. Don't do them daily.
So like going into that slightly, on what you were saying about, like, because you got lids on and stuff like that, that's actually a topic. Just before we go into our final, like, 2 questions, which won't be too long, is do you think it is better to have a tank with a lid on or lid off?
Depends on what you're keeping.
Yeah.
I think on in the majority of cases for a normal fish keeper.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I think the majority of people in their houses, with regards to evaporation, with regards to like keeping fish inside the tank and not on the floor, I think a closed lid is way better, but I probably prefer open top.
It looks
better,
visually way nicer, but like after moving in now, when I've got a cat, no. Lid for days, and then it's also the evaporation as well that does my head in, because it's just like, oh my god, you start seeing that like lime scale mark all the time, and you're just like, blimmin' heck. How does like MD or George or all these aquascapers with these studios like set up with no lids on, like, is able to do this? Is it a daily cause of walking around with like a hose just filling it all up? Like,
yeah. The worst thing is the humidity. So, like, this room I'm sat in now normally runs at like an insane amount of humidity. And in my house, I've got 2 big dehumidifiers to suck the water out of the air, because in the winter, my windows and my doors are just wet. And it's awful. But that's why I like the Awazi Highline that I've just set up, because that's got a massive great lid on it. And the Fluval Shaker I've got has got a massive great lid on it. So I've only got 1 open top tank now out in my main house. All the open top tanks are in here now.
I prefer an open top tank because of you know, if you're just walking past it and you just want to quickly, you know, trim a plant or clean some algae off the glass, it's much easier. It's already there. You can just go straight for it. One thing that annoys me about lids, though, is when you pick them up and all the water just runs off them onto the floor. That's a pain. That drives me insane. That does. Just drives me mad. Or if you've got like slide tops and you slide it, and then when you slide it back, you're just left with a pool of water. That annoys me.
Yeah.
It annoys the hell out of me. That does.
We just got a comment there, and now that I'm actually doing the live off my laptop, if it had a better webcam, I probably would have done it off the laptop initially, because it's been plugged in the whole time and my phone wasn't. we'll move past that. You can now see the comment here that Menarch, it's not just water the fish getting out, but it's also dust and hair. Yeah, it's that's the concern as well, is that you get the external factors of like maybe someone sprayed deodorant round or cleaning product, and then it gets into your tank, and that ends up becoming an issue. None of my eels have ever jumped. That is impressive, Rebecca. Eels love jumping, even in the slightest incline of like a tiny crevice. I'm sure Matt's learned that through the shop.
The worst ones were the moray eels for saltwater. Moray eels just want to live on the floor. They want to be a snake. They don't want to be a moray eel anymore.
They're like, I don't want to be alive. I just want to dry up on the floor and become a crispy...
Evolution!
Yeah, I want to evolve. Right, next topic, second to last.
Crikey, that's a big topic.
It's a big topic. All of them, all the plants.
Yes,
Sorry.
aquarium plants. Next.
Jay, what question was this? Jay, you've got to have
a great topic.
It's a vast topic.
Right, let me expand. What
All
works for beginners, in your opinion?
Why am I on the screen?
We're cycling. We're going through.
Right.
There you go. It's a nice little cycle. See everyone's reactions to my terrible question. Yeah, what's good plants for beginners? What's your personal favourite plant, if you have one? What have you had the most success with? Anything like that. Bit of a broad topic, I know, but I thought it would bring a lot of conversation, although we're already 2 hours in, so conversation probably isn't what we're looking for right now, but there you go. It's interesting. Matt, what's that?
There you go. Matt's got the answer right there.
My favourite plants. This one?
All of them.
Limnophila.
Yep.
Yeah.
My favourite.
I love
That's the best plant for like beginners.
It baffles me, Adam. That baffles me.
I'm the expert at killing plants.
And then Anubias. Fill your tank with Limnophila and Anubias, and you can't go wrong. Done.
I have.
Aquarium plants completed. Move on.
This tub smells very planty.
I'm sure it does.
Earthy.
How hot can you keep plants? Oh, that's a good question. How hot?
They're all
28
different,
max?
though, aren't they?
28 max, I'd say.
Yeah, I think if you want a decent planted tank, I wouldn't go much over 28 Celsius. Like, you're struggling. The hotter you go, the much harder it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it?
What?
Adam, you've just become the captain of England, mate. How do you feel?
Obviously.
How's your penalty taking?
I couldn't not. I'm sorry, Adam.
I'd like his money. Like, if I had his money, that'd be great.
Think of how many aquariums you could have.
All he needs is a Ballon d'Or.
Harry Kane.
That's a new one. We'll end on this, and then there'll be a short Q&A, and we'll be over because I think it's getting past Matt's bedtime.
Yeah.
I'm probably editing after this, to be honest.
It's a 2 a.m. one, is it?
I feel.
I'm very feel.
I went in to say a sentence then, and I thought, what am I saying? Anyway, I feel this one, we probably shouldn't say Matt because we're all going to say Matt, more than likely.
You have to say me.
So I feel like, we can't say Matt. We can't say Matt.
Well, no, you completed that. You've done that one. You can't say Matt because we've done it.
Yeah. There you
There
go.
you go. So,
I
Fish shop
reckon
Mike.
Rita
Who's
Ora.
starting?
I reckon I'd sing good with her.
Who's starting? Matt, you should start. Take
Who
the
would I
reins.
Who would I want to collab with? I don't really know. I think.
That you haven't already, obviously.
Yeah, you've done some big collaborations, Matt.
You've
I
collabed with
guess
a lot
it's
of
probably
people.
people from the States now, innit? Because you've done
Yeah,
this in the States.
it's really difficult though because like I would probably say that like I would like to collab not with necessarily a person, but with like I don't know, like some like one of the big aquariums. Let's like I've done what was that tank? 5,500 liters. Like let's do. I want to do like a 50,000 liter shark tank, and I want to aquascape it.
Yeah.
I think that'd be my like because you can only create so much with a tank that's in a house or in a studio. Yeah, like I've met a lot of people, and all of the aquascapers are really nice. All the aquarium guys and girls are really nice. I'm yet to meet not a horrible one, but like a someone who I wouldn't hang out with. So yeah, I think it would be like the National Marine Aquarium down in Plymouth. Yeah, get me down there.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
He's
Their
planted the seed
documentary
now.
series they did was quality. It was really interesting.
Adam,
So who is everyone else's then?
Adam, what about yourself?
So, really easy for me. It would be MD, and the reason
Oh,
being,
what?
well, there's a good reason for it. I know it seems predictable, but I don't think I would have got back into the hobby 2 years ago if I hadn't have found his channel. Because when I was first in the hobby, I always wanted a planted tank, and from what I could remember, the only planted tanks that you would see in books and everything like that at the time was high-tech CO2. And I thought, well, how do you make something like that without spending a fortune? And then, of course, I found MD's channel and then decided to go and get a planted, to set up a planted tank. So, that's it, really. Predictable, but there's a good reason behind it.
He did make it accessible to way more people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And that, like, I remember, and I've told him this, and he won't mind me saying, I remember I died a little bit inside when I was in the shop one day and he was filming with me because we had some big hill streams in, some like extra large hill streams. And he went, "Oh my word, they look like mini stingrays." And the fish keeper inside me went, "Oh." And then I went, "Oh my word, that's why he's relatable. And that's why people are getting into fish keeping because of him, because he brings it down to the level that most people in aquarium shops actually have forgotten, because we've been in a shop for 5 years, 10 years, and we've forgotten that, oh my word, they look like little mini stingrays. How cool are they? We've forgotten that, like, that joy.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, he's done so, like, he got so many people back into the hobby, or even just into the hobby in general.
Yeah.
Agreed.
What about yourself?
I mean, I was going to say MD as well, so I feel like I need to choose someone else, but I can't think of anyone else. But yeah, again, so similar to what Adam was saying, so I had a big break in fish keeping. I took like 6 to 7 years out in the middle, and it was actually Matt and MD that I used to watch. And the reason for me starting doing the content and everything was because Matt actually used to serve me in Maidenhead in Wellington. And then next thing, he's doing content and he's gone really big, and I'm like, holy crap, maybe I could do this as well. And then obviously you would see him on MD's videos, watched MD's stuff as well. And with both of them being like local to my area as well, that's always been like a huge thing. I didn't even think I'd collab with Matt ever. So yeah, like I guess MD would be the next place that I'd want to go to collab with someone.
Yeah. For myself, I've collabed with Matt. I'm very fortunate to say that. But I think, UK scene, of course, MD and Matt were the guys that like I was watching as a hobbyist that got me into it. MD was the relatability of setting up a tank on a budget and making aquascaping feel accessible to people. But then with Matt, it was the information that I really appreciated, and then seeing the simplicity of like how easy you can set up a tank once again. and like for it's difficult because I'd love if I were to make a list, and it's difficult. Technically, I've already done that aside from MD in the UK scene. I've technically been on a video, not a actual video, but there's a clip of me shaking hands with George Farmer whilst I set up a tank at Aqua. Like, that's mental. Because I wouldn't have minded collabing with George one day. That obviously visiting Matt and then getting to tour his home and then taunting with him and then the interview too. That was really good. But yeah, I'd love to visit MD. You know me, I'm a tour guy. I'll go around and tour MD studio. That'd be cool. But I'd like to do something a bit different because I know Katie Sicklets has done one. And I think George has done multiple on his setups before. But US scene, oh, it has to be Aquarium Car. It has to be Aquarium Car. All day long, Corey, for a lot of us in the YouTube scene, if it wasn't for Corey, there wouldn't be I'm trying not to be blowing so much smoke up their bottom, but like in the nicest way possible. They paved the way for fish YouTube, I guess, like because and they've done it through a shop as well, which is very unique. He formed a shop and was sharing himself as a hobbyist, and he still does that now to this day. But like opening up the shop, and you've seen the whole process of it all, and you've seen it now turn into this mega business that has got its products all worldwide almost, or across the US. And he's such a personality, and the shop's really cool. I'd love to visit the shop one day and do a tour there too. But I think a collaboration with Aquarium Corp would be really cool. And then as well, Rachel O'Leary as well. Oh my word, Rachel O'Leary for me, incredible. I've spoke to her through comments. She probably has had enough of me liking so much of her stories and reposting them recently because she's back. But yeah, Rachel O'Leary as well is incredible. Like she was one of the first bigger female creators in the YouTube fish keeping world, and she's super knowledgeable as well. Like it's weird. I think my enjoyment of the hobby is very 50-50. I love aquascaping, but I also really, really love the informational side. But it has to be the right person to get that information across. Yeah, I rob it on too long, but yeah, you get the point.
Hit the buzzer, to be honest with you.
Matt is a bully, everyone. I'm kidding.
Absolutely. Only when I get to know you.
Yeah, only when he gets to know me. He was fed up with me by the end of Sunday. He was like, "Can this scouser just leave me alone? Why is he latched on to me?
Why is he still here?
Why have you come? You said you only come on Saturday. I thought I was going to have some peace and quiet." Yeah, I think so. That was all our topics we've covered today.
Did everyone answer that?
I think we did. Everyone said it. Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't do that.
Did you not?
I was going to say, I was
No, Jay, didn't you start it and you said MD as well?
No, that was Adam.
yeah.
No,
It took me a minute to click that. I was like, hang on a minute.
And then it was 16 minutes of other Adam.
Yeah. I think for me, it's probably a bit of a different one from other people's suggestions, I think. But I think I'd probably go with Green Aqua.
Oh.
I absolutely love their content. I think there's so much that can be learned from them guys. All of them in the Green Aqua team are amazing. And there's so much that you can learn just by watching their videos. They do setups that cater to everybody, very similar to Matt, very similar to MD. But I don't know what it is. It's just the aesthetic. They make it look so easy. And it's just like, it's incredible. And I think to be able to work with them, even, just for a couple of hours and learn from them would be unbelievable. It'd be such a great experience.
I fully agree with you there on Green Aqua. Like their videos are super high quality and their studio is super impressive too. I'd love to visit that one day too. That was one that I completely went over my head.
Well, I think that's what makes the hobby exciting, though, is being able to all these different types of channels and all these different types of content. Like, I think there's so many people out there that have got so much going for them. You know, yeah, I think it's great.
JT says hi.
Hi, JT.
We're near the end, JT. Where were you?
Yeah, it must be really late for you as well. It must be almost 1 a.m. Haven't you got uni?
Isn't it? It's definitely an hour, isn't it? They're an hour ahead of us.
The 2 hours ahead, I believe.
Is it?
I think so.
Crikey.
Yeah.
Testing Adam's geographical knowledge here.
I did go Amsterdam. Busy though. But uni is busy. Okay. Yeah, so if anyone's got any final questions before we end up now, we've been going for 2 hours 15, which is mad. Probably went a bit longer because of the technical issues. Sorry.
Not sure it was just that.
Yeah. An hour and a half of it was Adam talking.
No, I started talking because I weren't talking. I was letting you talk, and then I was just skipping across. I've been rage baited here. I'm leaving. See you later.
Any questions, anyone?
Any
I think
questions?
there was a lot of people actually that raised some really good points, like going to the Amazon with like Ian Fuller, or like just like actual different things that you could collab on. Someone also did say to me, or say, I can't remember who it was, and I can't scroll up far enough, or someone said about me getting loads of messages from zoos. That is already happening, and that's the maddest things that I've had messages about. Like, we done the lynx pond with my friend Dan, and loads of actually John and loads of other people. So we built the pond for the lynx, and now I've had like inquiries about building rivers for different animals, and like loads of different zoos around the UK wanting to get involved with building ponds and doing aquariums in different zoos or up and down the country, and animal sanctuaries as well, actually. So it already has happened that I've had massive amounts of emails and messages about this. So look for 2026. There's going to be some cool content.
We've now got a rare shrimp question for M.
The rarest shrimp line that I have currently is a metallic snowflake. So Claudia, on my TikTok, you'll probably see a couple videos of her. So yeah, it's super cool. Normally metallic's quite rare anyway. So you get metallics in boas, nanashis, snowballs and snowflakes, and a couple of other patterns. But usually you'd only get maybe one color as well. So you might get metallic blue. But Claudia's got blue, silver, gold, and sometimes it even looks like a little bit of purple in her as well. She's super, super pretty, and I've never seen another shrimp like her either. So if she has lots of babies as well, that would be ideal. But definitely probably the rarest one that I've got.
I find it incredible, like these amazing like Caribbean shrimp, like seeing some of the shrimp at Aqua. I've seen pictures of them, and like, I'm sure you've got an amazing selection too. And I've seen some of your TikToks that you posted. So if everyone wants to check out TikTok, you'll be able to see some of these high grade, ultra high quality shrimp. Just like, I think it was like the dark panda shrimp or something like that. I don't know what it was. It was on that like shadow panda. It was like, oh my god! I was looking at it. It was like, I've got bad eyes, but like I could see like little metallic reflections within like the shell of the shrimp. I was like, this is insane. Like, oh my god, it's so cool, the details. And then to think as well, like Matt was saying earlier, this line breeding that goes on with some of these shrimp to get to be able to obtain like the colors is unbelievable.
I can't find a video of her on your TikTok. Have you got a video of her? I was going to show.
Yeah, it's metallic snowflake Caradina, I think it is. If you go down so far,
I'll keep scrolling.
And whilst you're there, repost everything you come across as well.
I've only got 5,000 followers on TikTok. I don't really like. I don't know. I find TikTok really hard, to be honest.
We've all had this conversation, and we were all a bit like perplexed in certain areas. Like, M and J are really good with TikTok and short form, and like It's the opposite way around for me, Adam, and Matt with the long form, because we're trying to compact things into short form, and then it's the other way around for you guys where you're trying to expand it. It's really difficult because I feel like I don't have the mental capacity to be able to edit like something short form, because it's like bump, 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 bump. But when I first started, my videos couldn't reach the 10-minute mark because I had TikTok brain.
Oh. You surprised me, Adam.
Yeah.
For me, it's that I forget to turn my phone landscape and record it landscape, and I've just done 2 hours of content, and now it has to be for TikTok because it's portrait.
It's mental, innit? Just yeah. Anyways, look at that.
Yeah,
right, let's expand that. This is an example of M's shrimp. Look at that,
You can
That's
see
Claudia.
Stunning.
Claudia.
How much do they typically go for, Em?
So, right.
Or similar strain?
So, for like metallic ones, you could be looking, depending on the pattern that goes with it, and the color and the intensity of the metallic, maybe anywhere between 50 to £100 plus for a single shrimp. But
Wow.
so I take it with a pinch of salt because I don't know the person like in real life or anything. Like, it was online, but I had somebody join one of the lives when we were looking at her who knew their stuff about Caradina, and they were saying what some of the grades of the ones I have were, and they seemed to have a bit more knowledge than I did on grading some of them. And they said they would say that that Claudia was sort of a competition grade shrimp, and that in, I think it was Singapore they were in, you'd be looking at anywhere around sort of £3,000 to £4,000 for that single shrimp, which is a lot more than I paid for it. I got her when she was quite small and she coloured up massively. But there is a market when you look further afield into Caradina shrimp, the really, really, really exquisite ones, of them being that much. And when they first discover a new pattern or new colours in a pattern that haven't come out before, they do sort of go for like thousands until they sort of filter down into the rest of the market. So boa shrimp, when they first came out, so boas now, you can get sort of your low end boas for £20 or £30. But when they first came into the hobby, you were looking at like £5,000 to £6,000 for a boa.
Wow. Just one.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Oh.
But it would all be about the first person would find them, would discover them and manage to breed them, and then they'd sell them for that, and somebody would buy a pair of them for that, and then they'd breed them and they'd sell them to undercut that person for half the price, because when they have babies, they don't have like one or two, they have like 20 or 30. So as long as they manage to sell 4, they've made their money back plus more. And then the next person buys some, and then they sell them for half the price of that person before them. And then eventually over years, it filters down until they're in like £20 or £30 each, but it takes a little while.
I agree with what JT's just put in the comments there. I couldn't trust myself. I couldn't trust myself to have a shrimp worth that much money.
Yeah, I definitely couldn't trust myself with a shrimp that much money. I'm stressing over Bloody Marys, which are like quite affordable compared to that. And then I keep messaging you going, what about Indian Zebs? They look cool. And then you're talking about £5,000 shrimp here. My head just fell off because I didn't know.
It's crazy, but that happens with a lot of fish and shrimp and things like that. Like, I remember when like the gold gene was found in the Denison barb, and you ended up getting those like gold with the red stripe coming back through their head. And they were like silly money when they were first about. And then all of a sudden now, like, you buy a bag of normal Denisons into a shop and you might get 1 or 2 golds in there, and they've not even taken out like the mutations now. They're just, leave them in with the normal ones is fine. Like, they're still expensive, or they're still a little bit more money, but they're definitely not up there like they were. Always when that first fish comes out, everyone wants it, the price is mega high, and then everyone starts breeding it, and then it's the price comes down so much.
I remember when MD did the video with the albino longfin cherry barbs that he got from you.
Yes.
I've only just seen them in Wirral.
We could not keep them in stock for months. They were only coming from one supplier. Yeah. And we were buying them every time. And it was like a supplier that had them and like 3 other fish that we could buy. Like, everything else was big and brown and aggressive. So it was like, oh, we've got to buy more albino longfin cherry barb, but we need like 1,000 cardinals to go with it. It was a nightmare, but we could not keep them in stock for months.
That border video, I remember seeing it. I was like, wow, I've never seen a fish like that bright, like that certain colour, and then the long fins. So it was like, that's incredible. And then boom, gone. And then another fish as well, albino pygmy cories. And now like they've slowly crept into like affordable range. And now it's the breeders are starting to do leucistics. And it's just like, yeah, it'll forever go on with fish, won't it? It'll always start with like an albino strain or some kind of like.
Someone just said in the comments about those fancy mollies that have been seen in Asia and like thousands of pounds. Like I saw some weird balloon sailfin ones the other day, and they were talking about thousands of pounds for them. I was like, wow, really? This is a new thing.
It's crazy.
But we'll answer one final one, and then we will be gone because we've gone now for quite the long time.
2 hours 30. We've got 4 minutes.
4 minutes to wrap it up.
Pressure. What question are we going for? There's a couple.
Favorite nano fish.
Ooh. Celestial Paldanio.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. That. Yeah, I don't think you get a fish better than that, especially with the.
Get your own answer, mate. Bloody hell.
Right. Yeah, actually, Emerald Rasbora. Same fish with stripes.
No, Axelrod's Rasbora. There you go. I'll change it.
It's basically an expensive neon tetra.
Yeah, I like them. I think they're cool because they have their little shark fin on their belly. I like them.
Yeah. No, and someone said in the Stomus, which is like crocodile toothpicks, they're incredible. Really good show.
Yeah, they're a pain in the backside though.
But yeah, with that anyways, we almost 2.5
Did everyone
hours.
go Celestial Pal then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I don't know. It's a difficult one. I'd probably go with
Clown Killies.
just for something different. I'd probably go with Tucano Tetra.
Oh,
Just so expensive.
Yeah.
Loretto Tetras, they're a nice alternative.
I just worry about they need perfect conditions. They need what they need, and I worry about investing in that and not giving them the perfect conditions to thrive. So it's one of them. It's a double-edged sword, isn't it, with species like that?
Yeah. So with that anyways, thank you so much, guys, for hopping on the live today, and it was great to have us all in one space again. Even though it was over the internet this time round, but it was nice to have a live audience and answering questions, having a good chat, covering a load of topics too. 2.5 hours of chatting away. I'm sure the next one will probably be there's no exact time or whatever, but this one was really successful. We really appreciate all the chats and engagement that we've had today, and support from shops, companies, businesses, fish keepers alike too. So before we end, we'll let everyone plug your socials, your channels and that, and then we'll end it on that. So we'll start with Jay first. If you just want to tell us your socials for people to go and follow and check out.
Absolutely. So Hooked Aquatics on TikTok, YouTube, Hooked Aquatics Official on Instagram, and Hooked Aquatics on Facebook.
Great. Now, Adam.
Yeah, so AH Aquatics on YouTube, recently on TikTok and on Facebook, and I am not Harry Kane.
You're multitasking.
Matt.
I'm Fish Shop Matt. I've been Fish Shop Matt. It's been nice to know you, and I'm Fish Shop Matt everywhere.
Fish Shop who?
Oh my word, Fish Shop Matt.
Oh my God, it's Fish Shop Matt.
Oh no, hang on. Can I be Fish Shop Michael?
Fish Shop Michael. Everyone.
For anyone who's hung around this long,
Matt was trying to do thumbnails. Oh my word.
Honestly, that's why I don't use ChatGPT for thumbnails, because that is Fish Shop Michael, everyone.
Michael. Oh my word. Finally.
I'm just Somerset Shrimp Shack everywhere, thankfully. So on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and then if you're ever after any shrimp or other bits for yourselves, then somersetshrimpshack.uk is where you can buy stuff from us.
And finally, myself, the live's on here. Make sure to check out the other socials: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Yeah.
Adam 5 fish tanks.
We also, so I noticed we got like an hour and a half deep, and then it become a ribbon session.
What was your chat GPT? Andy 7 glass boxes.
No, Adam
Somebody pull
minus
it-
7 boxes or
Somebody
something.
pull it up.
With that, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. We've had an amazing live. We'd love to do this again sometime and maybe have some guests on and do some more fun stuff. We appreciate all your turnout today and support. Like I said, everyone's channels and socials are in the description below of this live. Make sure to join our Discord service. Join our Discord server. It's too far gone. Join our Discord server. It's super active.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for everyone joining. Adam Waffle Fish Tanks. Now I'm getting ripped by the chat. Is this all this is now? Oh my God. Right. Thank you all for joining before it becomes a roasting session of me. We'll see you later. Good night, everyone.
Thanks,
Look
everyone.
as well. So
Thank you.
Catch you later.
see you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.